Back up on my bullshit, back up on the scene. Done dealing with you, don't know how to deal with me. Done fucking with you, don't know how to love me. Done dealing with you, so I'm back. It seemed like I get so much, I don't get nothing back. I really thought it was love, but you're so fucking whack. Always get caught up in love, but I am done with that. I can't get caught up in love, so now I'm, yeah, flexing on my exes and my Model X. Pretty little, skinny, little bitty body Model X. Some of y'all ain't never had no real bitch and it shows. I keep it 100 from my head down to my toes. Back up on my bullshit, back up on the move. Touchdown in my hometown, got nothing to lose. I am on my own now, I am in control now. I need you to go now, I can fix my own crown. Back up on my bullshit, back up on the scene. Don't dealing with you, don't know how to deal with me. I'm fucking with you, don't know how to love me. I'm dealing with you, so I'm back, yeah. Bitch, back on my pussy, back on my dish, you in the studio. Back on tequila, back on the strippers, all the groupie hoes. This could get ugly, I'm petty, I want you bad out of smoke. I'm coming crazy, baby, baby, one thing that you should know. Little baby, bounce back, yeah, act like you a stranger, yeah. Memory loss, I play it like that. Call your boys, I'm getting about that. Faded off the 42, quarters too important. Blue dream inside the roll up, hold up. Watch me go up, leave me so stuck. I'm back and I'm better thing. They one bitch on my level, ain't no question. I'm a legend, baby. Don't ever forget it. No, you see me rolling in this rose gold, so cold. Oh no, I can't fuck with lames like you no more. Back up on the scene, out here acting foolish like I'm 17. I just bought a new whip, don't need gasoline. I just think you're new, bitch, boosted my self-esteem. Back up on my bullshit, back up on the scene. Done dealing with you, don't know how to deal with me. Done fucking with you, don't know how to love me. Done dealing with you, so I'm back, yeah. Bitch, flex on my legs, in my Model X. Flex on my legs, in my Model X.
See, my days are cold without you, but I'm hurting while I'm near you. And though my heart can't take no more, I keep on running back to you. See, my days are cold without you, but I'm hurting while I'm near you. And though my heart can't take no more, I keep on running back to you. Baby, I don't know why you're treating me so bad. You said you love me, no one above me, and I was all you had. And all my heart is beating for you, and I can't stop crying. I don't know how I allow you to treat me this way, and still I stay. See, my days are cold without you, but I'm hurting while I'm near you. And though my heart can't take no more, I keep on running back to you. See, my days are cold without you, but I'm hurting while I'm near you. And though my heart can't take no more, I keep on running back to you. Baby, I don't know why you wanna do me wrong. See, when I'm home, I'm all alone, and you are always gone. Boy, you know I really love you, I can't deny. I can't see how you could bring me to so many tears after all these years. See, my days are cold without you. My days, yeah. And though my heart can't take no more, I keep on running back to you. See, my days are cold without you. Without you, without you, I keep on running back to you. I trusted you, I trusted you. So sad, what love will make you do. All the things that we accept, be the things that we regret. So all of my ladies, hear me, come on, sing with me. See, when I get the strength to leave you, always tell me that you need me. And I'm weak cause I believe you, and I'm mad because I love you. that made me. You can learn to appreciate me, then it all remains the same. That you ain't never gonna change, never gonna change, never gonna change. My baby, oh baby, and though my heart can't take no more, I keep on, no more. See, my days are cold without you. I'm hurting lonely, and though my heart can't take no more, no more.
Wrong at all, baby. I say that we falling off, baby. Maybe we just ain't been on the same page. In my mind, I'm done fighting. In your heart, you keep trying. The truth is not hiding. That's just the way we are. But can't say you love me when it's like that. Can't say I love you when it's like that. If it was new, it won't be like that. To everybody else, it will just show me back. But I love when we make up like that. And you love it when I make you mad. But maybe we just love like that. Yeah, maybe we just love like that. Times I don't want you around. You do something to make me smile. And it's hard for me to try to stop this feeling. Yeah, we could just walk away. Yeah, we could just stay away. The things I love about you, I can't change. No, 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 no. In my mind, I'm done fighting. In your heart, you keep trying. And the truth, we done hiding. That's just the way we are. Can't say you love me when it's like that. Can't say I love you when it's like that. If it was new, it won't be like that. To everybody else, it will just all be bad. But I love when we make up like that. And you love it when I make you mad. But maybe we just love like that. Yeah, maybe we just love like that. Can't say you love me when it's like that. Like that. But I love it when you do like that. Well, maybe we just love like that. Yeah, maybe we just love like that. Can't say you love me when it's like that. Can't say I love you when it's like that. If it was new, it won't be like that. To everybody else, it will just all be mad. But I love when we make up like that. And you love it when I make you mad. But maybe we just love like that. Yeah, maybe we just love like that.
Niggas ain't getting no money, tell them quit that cap. Niggas ain't getting no money, tell them quit that capping. Yeah. He need to be relaxing, he need to do your taxes. Yeah. We went triple platinum, won't wanna hear no nagging. Made it happen. Young and out there, bottom buddy, made it happen. I don't wanna make no friends, put me to my ends. Who we think he is in that brand new Benz? Should've knew I was coming, just still a young and I knew I'd give me some money. Know I turn nothing to something, I look at your cousin, the youngest, he's me and running. I promise to keep it 100, keep it 100. You see me down in the house, so you got to respect me. Fuck you, give me my check, please. Young and chasing dreams, reaching for the stars. Had it all. But now I'm richer than I've ever been. 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 Richer than I've Whipping a Tesla, cars, hoes, etc. Hit 'em with pressure. My niggas won't let up. Tell them niggas to catch up. Wake up, got $1 million in diamonds that sit on the dresser. Run up that check now, flexing my muscles, I feel like cause we come from nothing, new rollies and plaques. Fake love, it was holding them back. Flashbacks while you pouring the yacht. Since a young nigga, he just wanted to shot. Used to daydream about thumbing through racks. He tuck, it get cold in the rack. Tears fall while he loading the strap. Seen it all, he just wanna relax. I'm richer than I ever been. Put my heart before the bag, worst shit I ever did. Gave you a second chance and you laugh again. Remember days I used to wonder will we ever win. Young and chasing green, reaching for the stars. See all you can be, either you gon' starve. Young and not that bottom, but he beat the odds. Yeah, you love it all. I'm richer than I've ever been. I'm richer than I've ever been. Yeah, I'm richer than I've ever been. I'm richer than I've ever been. He richer than he ever been. Ever
Cups of the rose, bitches in my old phone. I should call one and go home. I've been in this club too long. The woman that I would try is happy with a good guy, but I've been drinking so much, I'ma call her anyway and say, fuck that nigga that you love so bad. I know you still think about the times we had. I say fuck that nigga that you think you found. And since you picked up, I know he's not around. I'm just saying you can do better. Tell me, have you heard that lately? I'm just saying you can do better. And I'll start hating only if you make me. Cups of the XO. All my people been here. I see all of my friends here. Guess she don't have the time to kick it no more. Flights in the morning. What you doing that's so important? I've been drinking so much that I'ma call you anyway and say, fuck that nigga that you love so bad. I know you still think about the times we had. I say fuck that nigga that you think you found. And since you picked up, I know he's not around. I'm just saying you can do better. Tell me, have you heard that lately? I'm just saying you can do better. And I'll start hating only if you make me. in for the next whole week. Dance too long for a nigga so cheap. And your flex OD, your sex OD. You got it, girl, you got it. Hey. You got it, girl, you got it. Yeah. Pretty little thing, you got a bag and now you wildin'. You just took it off the line, no mileage. Waiting, hitting you the DM, looking violent. Talking while you come around and not excited. Through the Cooper 17, no guidance. You be staying low, but you know what the price is. Ain't never got you know it being modest. Poppin' shit, but only cause you know you poppin', yeah. You got it, girl, you got it. Hey. You got it, girl, you got it. Hey. You got it, girl, you got it. You got it, girl, you got it.
Take your spotlight. If I wrote you a symphony, just to say how much you mean to me, what would you do? If I told you you were beautiful, would you date me on the regular? Tell me, would you? Well, baby, I've been around the world, but I ain't seen myself another girl like you. This ring here represents my heart, but there's just one thing I need from you. Say I do. Because I can see us holding hands, walking on the beach, our toes in the sand. I can see us on the countryside, sitting on the grassland side by side. You could be my baby, let me make you my lady. Girl, you amaze me, ain't gotta do nothing crazy. See, all I want you to do is be my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away. Ain't another woman that can take your spot, my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away. Ain't another woman that can take your spot, my love.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, people. How's everybody doing today? Happy, what is it? Is it, y'all, listen, I think it's Wednesday already. Mm-hmm. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining. So listen, y'all. Today we are going to wrap up, finally. Okay. Finally wrap up this case that we have been following. Now, I've said it since the verdict was read out or whatever, however, that we do know in this moment that Miles Bryant was found guilty. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to, because I told y'all, last week that I felt it was some testimony that we didn't see, we missed. So And I think, to be honest, it's a very important testimony. I know we listen to a lot, but I just want to kind of step back and listen to the testimony that we missed. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna listen to a couple of people that testified that I feel like y'all probably want to hear, and then we're gonna listen to the closing arguments from the prosecution and the defense, and then we're gonna watch the verdict being read, and then now I hope to get this all done today. If not, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to continue tomorrow, but I'm gonna try to get it all done today. I know it sounds like a lot, but we're gonna try to get through it. We're gonna listen to the verdict being read, we're gonna listen to the sentencing, and then we're gonna listen to a couple press conference that was put on. Um, I think the family spoke. I think the lawyers spoke. We're gonna listen to that, and then y'all, it's a new tweet. Well, not a tweet, but it's an update. I found out on yesterday that his lawyer, when I mean his, I'm talking about Miles Bryant. I think it's gonna file an appeal for a new file for a new trial, and we're gonna listen to why he feels as though this guy deserves a new trial. So that's what I plan on showing y'all before we wrap this up. Hopefully we'll wrap all that up today so we can move on to something else. But if not, we'll finish up tomorrow. You know who? Let me pull up. Hmm. I hope everybody's having a blessed day. Y'all, please be sure to hit the like button. If you feel it in your spirit, this channel is monetized. You can super chat, or you can of course hit the Cash App or the PayPal. Um, and yeah, and support the channel. I do appreciate it, and I also appreciate y'all being here. I do. So let's see. And y'all know I always say a prayer about my devices and my Wi-Fi and things of that nature working out for me. So listen, the first person we're gonna listen to is this is actually the mom. Hey CCTV, y'all come on in and hit that like button for your girl. Let's get into it, y'all. So the first person we're gonna listen to whose testimony we missed is Miles Bryant's mother. All right. We're gonna listen to her testimony, and then we're gonna keep it pushing. If y'all have any questions, because I know a lot of people that's watching probably had not watched the all of the live streams. Okay, so if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. I'll be watching the chat, and I'll try my best to answer. Okay. So with that being said, let's start, y'all. Let's get into it. So this is Miles Bryant's mother, and they did not show her face.
Would you please introduce yourself to the court and tell us your name?
Synovia Parks.
All right.
ANOVIA.
Oh wait a minute. Actually, this not the mama. I'm sorry. This not the mama. This is the girlfriend. This is the girlfriend. That was the girlfriend at the time, I believe. This is the girlfriend. Well, I think at this point the ex-girlfriend. Yeah, we watched the interrogation. We watched that interrogation, and it was a mess.
KS.
Thank you so much. Ms. Parks, how old are you?
I'm 21.
And where do you currently live? You don't have to give us the address.
Oh, no.
Just generally where you currently live.
Norcross.
And who do you live with?
My parents.
Bryant.
Yes.
And can you tell us how you know?
We grew up as kids.
So, how old were you when you met?
Like elementary, I don't know how old.
You've known him for a long time?
Yes.
At some point, did you live near him when you were growing up?
No.
How'd you meet him?
School?
And at some point, did you begin a romantic relationship with him?
Yes.
Now, I know maybe it might be hard to give us exact dates, and I'm not asking for exact dates, just the best that you can remember. when did you start a relationship with the defendant?
2019.
2019. And at that
If
time,
it's too fast, if y'all can't understand it, let me know. I do have the closed caption on, but if it's too fast, y'all let me know. I just want to try to get through as much as we can.
Parents.
and where was he living at?
With his parents.
Now, so that's 4 years ago, approximately. Do you know when in 2019?
No,
Now, and 4 years ago, would that make you about 17 at the time?
I think so. Yes.
How much? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay.
Did you have something else?
No.
Okay. How much older than you is the defendant?
About 2 years.
So, if you were 17, was he approximately 19 years old at the time y'all started dating?
I can't remember.
But he's about 2 years older than you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, throughout his parents' home, were you in a relationship with him at the time that he moved?
Yes.
And when at some point, did you also move into the home with the defendant at Sterling Glen Apartments?
Yes.
And if you can remember, when was that?
I really can't remember.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk about some specific facts here on July 26th, and we've already talked about that before. But just to give you a reference point, July 26th of 2022. How long before that? How long had you been living? Were you living in the apartment at that time?
I can't remember.
Okay. How long do you think you lived with the defendant at the apartment at Sterling Glen?
I want to say like 8 months, probably.
Okay. And let me ask, maybe this might be easier for us to narrow down a time. When did you move out?
I can't remember.
Okay, and that's all right. Let me ask, when the defendant was arrested, February 13th of 2023, were you still staying at the apartment at that time?
No.
Okay, so you had moved out and left sometime before then?
Yes.
How long before then do you think? And you can just you don't have to give us exact days. Are we talking days, weeks, months? Do you have any idea?
I can't remember. As far as I know, I just moved out and I stayed with my parents from then.
Okay. Now, I have come to learn that with many people, it's hard to define sometimes when a relationship starts and when it ends. Do you have the same experience that sometimes it's a little hard to define when a relationship starts and ends?
Yes.
In your relationship with Miles, you've told us about when it started, but when did it end for you? When, in your mind, when you said the relationship over, when was that?
Before my birthday.
Before your birthday.
Yes.
And if you can tell me when your birthday is?
June 26th.
June 26th. Right. So, and we're talking about a number of years here when the relationship went on. So, what year was the relationship over?
2022.
2022. You had so June 26th of 2022 was your birthday. How long before your birthday do you think that, in your mind, the relationship was over?
I want to say like 3 days before.
So right before.
Yes.
Okay. Now, at that time when you ended the relationship, well, let me ask: did you end it or did the defendant end it?
I ended it.
Okay. And when you ended the relationship, were you living with him at the time at the Sterling Glen Apartments?
Yes.
Now, maybe some obvious questions here, but I have to ask: when you were living there before breaking up, did you share a room with the defendant?
Yes.
His apartment there that you were living at, how many bedrooms was it?
One.
One bedroom. You had how many beds?
One.
Now, after the relationship ends shortly before your birthday, did you move out at that time?
No.
And how long did you stay at the apartment after that?
I can't remember.
Let me ask some similar questions. Did you stay in the apartment at all after that?
No.
You never lived or stayed at the apartment after you ended the relationship in June of 2022?
I remember packing some things, like half of my stuff, and staying at my parents' house. That's all I remember.
That's all I remember. And do you remember when that happened?
No.
Hold on. I don't know what the hell just happened. Hold on, y'all. Look at Auntie.
Lieutenant, believe we were talking.
Hold on, y'all.
What's your name?
Synovia
Hey, Miss Carl.
Parks.
All right, and a relationship with.
Was that it? Okay, maybe that's it for that one. Let me go to the next one. Hold on.
Where, at that time, where were you living?
My parents.
And where was he living?
Mm.
Doraville police officer Miles Bryant will spend the rest of his life. A judge
See,
sentenced
that's why I
Bryant to
hate
life
watching these
without
little
parole,
videos
saying
because they be
he hopes this
clipped.
finally gives
But
Susanna's family
that's
some
the
kind
only
of
way I
peace.
could find. That's the only way I could find his testimony. It was not in that other content we was watching.
Doraville police officer Miles Bryant will spend the rest of his life. Rallis. 11 Alive's Bobeth Yates joining us from the Gwinnett County Jail this morning. Bobeth. So a judge sentenced Bryant to life without parole.
Now, took you to February 13th of 2023, the day that the defendant was arrested. Do you recall two detectives, Detective Xavier Biggers, or I said Lieutenant Xavier Biggers, and Corporal Austin, July 26, 2022. At this time, Alice,
Yes.
do you recall your conversation that you had with them at that time?
No.
Do you recall them asking you about the night that she went missing?
I don't even know why the hell.
Yeah.
Hold on, y'all. Why did they put her on the stand? She don't recall nothing. And the thing about it is, like, see, when you know you go, usually when somebody gonna testify and they wanna testify and they wanna get the facts out there and they wanna be there. Cause see, the prosecute. Well, I can't say for every case. All I know is what I've experienced. When you gonna testify for the prosecution, the prosecution normally, you know, I call it prep. They may not call it prep. I'm gonna say what they do is like do a run through with you as far as the questions they're gonna ask to see how you're gonna answer the questions. Now, I don't understand why they put her on the stand so far because she's really not like solidifying anything. She don't remember dates. She don't remember if she was staying here this day, this day, this day. And like I say, usually, and that's like this ain't that they was what over in what 22. We now 24. Somebody her age, I don't think she forgot all that stuff. I think she just don't want to answer. This is weird. But I think the main thing that they want to prove with her is I don't know yet. Let's just listen. Let's just listen.
The question that they were asking you in that day related to the night of and you chasing the allegation the defendant had made that you chasing him around Middle Cross that night. Do you remember them asking you about that?
No.
Okay. When?
Wow.
Let me ask you. Back on after you broke up with him in June of 2022, did you remain in communication with the defendant?
Yes.
How
often? Every other day. We remained as friends.
And you remained as somewhat more than friends even after that, right?
No.
Now, Ms. Parks, I'm going to have to remind you, you previously testified that after you broke up with the defendant in June of 2022, that you and the defendant remained friends with benefits. Do you recall testifying
Wow.
that just a few weeks ago?
I can't remember.
You can't
So you
remember.
want listen?
Ms. Parks, I'm asking you now,
Okay.
did you remain friends
Girl,
with
don't go to
benefits
jail
with
for
the
that
defendant
man.
after you broke up with him?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, you also testified that you stayed in the apartment after you broke up for months. Do you recall testifying that even after you broke up, you were living in that apartment with him for months?
A little bit. Yes.
You do remember that?
A little bit.
Okay. Now, this is only 2 weeks ago. Do you remember testifying about that?
A little bit. I have a mom brain, so I tend to forget what I
Oh,
think.
mom, Brian.
You have, and we'll clarify, you have a newborn son?
A 5-month-old.
5 months. Yeah. How often would you spend time romantically with the defendant? I say romantically, but you're saying friends with benefits, so we could also say sexually. How often were you spending time with the defendant sexually after you broke up?
I can't remember.
You
Oh
remember
my
testifying 2 weeks ago that
God.
it was
Y'all listen, this girl. I don't.
every week?
Now I do know why they put her on the stand, but I don't know why she's sacrificing herself. Because listen, now apparently they did just what I thought they did, and they questioned her, and she gave particular answers, right? So now that she's on the stand, she's switching it up, or not really switching it up. She's just saying she don't remember. But this is the thing, girl, you could be charged with perjury. You've already once you make a statement to the police. Now it's not like being under oath, but once you make that statement to the police, baby, they document that. Those are the questions the prosecutor gonna ask you. And if they can prove you sitting up there perjuring yourself, you going to jail. I don't know if she's scared. I don't know if she's still, in contact with this guy or whatever, but wow. This is something else.
No.
Let me ask you not on, but even after you broke up with the defendant, or you ended the relationship with the defendant,
Hold on.
did
Because
you
I don't
exchange
see it
text messages?
showing up on y'all either. Hold on. Oh, I see it now. Oh, I see it. Y'all, I'm going blind in one eye. Okay, here we go.
A little bit.
A little bit. You recall me telling you that there was over 1,600 pages of text messages between the two of you after this?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a little more than a little bit, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Parks, I know you don't want to be here, and I know you don't want to testify, but I need you to be honest and truthful about your answers, okay?
Okay.
Right.
Those messages, were they about, a lot of those messages, were you and the defendant arguing about your relationship?
Yes.
And even 6 months after you broke up, were you sending him messages about wanting to spend your life together and loving him and those types of things?
I can't remember.
Do you remember me showing you those text messages 2 weeks ago and having you read out in court those messages where you were sending to him?
You gotta refresh my memory.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to take you to the night of July 26th, 2022. At that time, you were still living in the home with the defendant?
I can't remember.
Can't remember.
Oh my God.
You remember telling Lieutenant Biggers and Corporal Goring that you were living in the apartment with them that night?
I can't remember that far back.
I'm not asking whether you can remember that far back. I'm asking if you remember telling Lieutenant Biggers and Corporal Goring on February 13th, 2023, when they came to your home, that you were living in the home that night.
I can't remember.
Ma'am, do you have any kind of medical issue that causes
No,
you
I
not to
just
remember?
no, I just don't remember.
Okay, he's asking you questions from 2 weeks ago.
I have a mom brain. I tend to forget a lot of things. That's why
Okay.
he can refresh my memory and show me things, and yeah, I can probably work with
I
him.
wondered if you had an issue that we needed to know about, take consideration for. No,
No.
May I approach the witness?
Wow.
certainly.
Ms. Parks, I'm going to show you a transcript of your testimony on May 21st of 2024. And have you look here, and I'm going to direct you to what I'm talking about here.
Okay, gotta go to the next video. Is this it? I think that's the previous one. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Now, what y'all think? Y'all put in the chat. And I know a
Please
lot of y'all can't
reports.
type. I get it. I know. Can y'all please tell me what y'all think about this woman's testimony? Tell me what y'all think about what she's doing. All right, I'm gonna find the third one. And it's not that long, so I don't even know if they continue questioning her. Let's see. Not BS, Miss Marge. Miss Marge, this is crazy. Now you know some of them questions they answering her. She remember. She just testified to what she said 2 weeks before this. I don't know if she's scared of them, y'all. I don't know if she still love them. It's something though. It is something. I ain't finna be risking my freedom. And he done killed. You know what? She know he killed that woman, that girl, that young lady. She's scared. Oh, she is scared. And the third one ain't but 4 minutes. So I don't even know how much they asked her. CC said, like I said, I think she saw something that night or knew what happened. Her chasing his car right before he killed the girl. Hmm. Good morning, Ms. Lynn. All right, this the third one. It's only like 4 minutes long, so I don't know how much more they asked her. And the fact that she moved out the night before he got arrested. Mm. Mm-hmm.
Sending those text messages, and I showed you in there over 1,400 pages of text messages between you and the defendant sent after July 26th of 2022.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, those text messages, I'll see you when I get home, love you, leave the door unlocked. After reviewing those text messages, being honest before this court, you're under oath, you were still living with the defendant at his apartment, at Sterling Glen Apartments, after July 26th of 2022. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm going to take you to that night. You've given statements to my office. You've given statements to the police. You've testified in court about all of these things. So I'm going to ask you what happened that night. Were you and the defendant arguing that night?
I don't
I
remember.
want to say yes.
And what, if you recall, what were you arguing about?
Him being faithful to me.
All right. Him being faithful to you. You suspect him of cheating on you? Is that a constant, specific person he had cheated on you with?
Not really.
Did you know somebody named Avion?
No.
But how did you know who she was?
I was cleaning out a bin of clothes and I came across like a love letter from her, and it was a picture of them together. And it was a t-shirt with her name on it and I guess a graduation year. I can't remember. I just know that her name was on the back of a shirt.
Throughout your relationship with the defendant, did you
Maybe sugar.
consistently, but at times were there times that you would argue with him and confront him about your suspicions of him cheating on you?
Yes.
Was it a pretty common argument the two of you had?
Yes.
when you would
Thank
confront
you,
the defendant
CC.
with these allegations
Glad
that
you
he's
found it good.
cheating on you and things like that, did he admit them, or did he come up with an excuse, or what happened?
Excuses.
Now, that night, the 26th, did you have such an argument with him that we've been discussing about this, confronting him about being unfaithful to you?
Yes.
Now, I know it's a long time ago, and so you just do the best you can on remembering. But what time did that start in that day? Was it already going on all day, or was there something that day, if you remember, that triggered that argument?
It was going on all day.
Now, ultimately, you're aware because we talked about it before, and the question about it by police and everybody. The defendant says that you were chasing him around Norcross and other places potentially, just around Norcross that night because of the argument. Were you doing that?
I can't remember.
Do you recall telling Lieutenant Xavier Biggers and Corporal Austin Goldrick and myself and Investigator Kelly Perkins in the back of the courtroom and Eddie Tucci and everybody else that you did not chase him around Norcross that night?
Did not chase him.
Do you recall telling us that that night you were not chasing the defendant around Norcross?
I'm sorry, repeat that question one more time. What last part? The last part?
So the first question was, were you chasing the defendant around Norcross all night that night after that argument?
No.
I got to find the rest of this testimony, y'all. I got to. That ain't it. That can't be it. But in the meantime, in between time, while I look, so this is where the next video is where the investigators show his phone records, which I'm really not interested in.
I'm going to take you
and then
to
the video. The next video is the investigator talking about the cell phone records. Then there's another video with the crime scene specialist testifies in court. We're gonna go to where the inmate, now he supposedly spoke to an inmate, so he said she chased him, and now she's saying she didn't chase him. He's saying she chased him that night. She initially said she didn't chase him, and I think now she's trying to say, I gotta find her full testimony, and I'm gonna find it. But let's listen to this inmate, y'all. That was weird. I hate these little short videos. They hurt me.
Back. He went to cell and read it, coming out, and he let us know that he just got his discovery back.
Okay, and what conversation did you have with him about?
Back. He went to cell and read it, coming out.
About some of the details of what was contained in the discovery.
After a few days, after he read it, looked over it, he come back out and he said, "Well, I don't think the name. I'm not gonna get charged for this. They ain't got nothing against me. There's no. It says right here, plain. He says it says right here, plain. There's no blood, no semen, no nothing. They can't. They ain't got nothing against me."
So did he indicate to you that he was not going to be linked to the young girl's body because there was no blood or semen on her?
Yes.
Is that what he said?
So there's no way this case can be put on me that show that I was anywhere around her. That showed me no blood, no semen, no nothing.
Okay. At some point, did the defendant talk to you about at the time that you were at the detention center? Had you been in prison before?
Yes, I was in prison at the time.
Okay.
I was just coming back to court.
But you were just back in Gwinnett County to handle that case.
Right.
Did he ever talk to you about what prison was like?
Everybody's never been that has a possibility of going. They're always going to ask that question.
Okay. And what specifically did he ask you?
He said, "When and if I ever get charged, or when and if I have to go to prison, what is it like?" And I told him.
Okay. And was that a one-time thing, or did he talk to you, ask you other times about what?
It got brought up more than once.
Okay. Obviously, at some point, I'm sure everybody kind of wondered what might happen to them with their case. Was there ever a time that the defendant talked to you about the death penalty?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. I don't know how discussions about the death penalty, when this is not a death penalty case, are relevant.
His answer would be very relevant.
Okay, we give state
Your Honor,
latitude.
I have not received any statements about anything involving the death penalty.
Your Honor, Mr. Jones has been on the witness list. Ms. Drake has known about him. He's been at the Gwinnett County Detention Center. I can't control whether she interviews him or not, but
But he still has to turn over any statements of my client.
I have turned over written statements of her client. There's nothing written, Judge.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
Did you ever have a conversation with him where the defendant brought up the death penalty?
There was a conversation brought up one time. He said, man, he said, someone could get the death penalty for something like this. I said, no, you got to do something more brutal than that. He said, well, he said, so far they only got me charged with this one.
Okay.
He said, so far I'm only charged with one.
Okay.
I don't think killing one person, I don't think somebody doing something, you're going to get no death penalty from something like that.
I understand. How long do you think that you were in the same plot with the defendant?
Maybe a year? No, about 9 months.
Okay. And throughout that time, I know you talked to us about a few different conversations. Well, in total, did you talk to him often about his case, or were those kind of some of the exceptions?
Maybe 7 or 8 times we talked about his case. It's not something that somebody wants to talk about every day.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Ms. Drake?
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. I just want to ask you a few questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what is J-Pod? What makes that different from all other pods?
Mental health.
Isn't it,
What do you mean?
why were you in J-Pod?
I'm fine. I was just there. I was an inmate worker, and since I have an active escape on me, there's only certain places they can work me. J-Pod, I can't work in the kitchen because I guess I got too many access to escape again, I guess.
And J-Pod is one of those where pretty much everybody stays in their cell and you can come out usually just one at a time, right?
Yes. PCs come out by themselves. Suicides come out one at a time, maybe 2 or 3 at a time sometimes.
Okay, so just one at a time. If they're in PC, that's protected custody?
Yeah.
And these conversations happened with other people being around?
Yeah. Through the door. I was able to talk to people through the door. You would have to do a door on your rec yard.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a burglary. What county is that out of?
Gwinnett. For myself, burglary?
Yes.
And I'm just down. The burglary's already done. I've been done the time for that. I'm just doing a probation.
Probation on the burglary?
Yeah.
And you said it was normal for people that are potentially facing prison to ask about how prison is, right?
Yeah.
So there was nothing unusual about that. When did you speak to the DA's office?
Just a couple days ago. Oh, the first time?
Yes.
Months ago.
Did you reach out to them or did they reach out to you?
Me to them.
Do you remember when specifically? Was it before you went to court or after you went to court? For your charges here?
No, after I went to court.
And we're going to talk about, but on your escape charge that you've already been sentenced on, you've already filed one motion to reconsider that sentence and it was denied, correct?
Right.
Your Honor, at this point, I would like to tender into evidence certified copies of some of the prior convictions from our clerk's office and also White County. Defendant's Exhibit 1 is the sentence for Mr. Jones. I lost my license again. I'm getting old. Defendant's Exhibit 1 is a sentence for Mr. Jones, 12B 3337-3. where he was sentenced on one count of burglary, one count of theft by taking, second burglary, possession of a firearm or knife was dismissed, and one count of theft by receiving stolen property, a third burglary, a second theft by receiving stolen property, and one charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. That's your case that you had your probation revoked on recently. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant's Exhibit 2 is 20B-00847-3, which charges him with one count of escape, which you got 2 years for. Is that correct?
5 to 2, yeah.
And the escape, I'm assuming, if you look at the sentences, you were supposed to do work release. Is that where you escaped from?
Yes, ma'am.
That's basically you just didn't go back.
Yeah.
How long were you out, I guess?
After I didn't go back,
Yes, before you got caught.
5 months.
Defendant's Exhibit 3 is from White County, Georgia. That is 2019 CR 455. One count of criminal attempt to commit an escape was dismissed, and interference with government property was guilty. That is you, correct?
Yes.
And Defendant's Exhibit 4, again from White County, is 2019 CR 454, where these charges were dismissed: theft by taking, possession of methamphetamine, interference with government property, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer ×2, reckless driving and speeding. And sir, did you in fact enter a guilty plea to aggravated assault on a police officer?
Hi, Melissa.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that part of the sentence that you're currently serving? Or do you know?
Yeah. I think I maxed out on that.
Okay.
I think I maxed out on it. I think I'm only serving my 5 to 2 right now.
So you're only serving the escape charge.
Yeah, I maxed out May 5th, 2025.
Um,
I think I don't know if the other charges are still going yet. I don't know.
That's a damn shame.
That's the only sentence that you're serving. Your Honor, may I approach this to place these under?
Are you tendering those?
Yes, I am sitting those.
Mr. Okay. Defense Exhibit 1, 2, 3, and 4 are admitted without objection.
I'm trying to think of how to phrase this question. Have you developed an opinion that you're going to receive some help in trying to get some consideration on that served to sentence?
No, ain't nobody gonna help me.
So you did not tell my client that now that Mr. Delphone is no longer in the DA's office, that he can help you get that sentence reduced?
No, Mr. Delphone he's never told me he could help me or anything.
Did you tell my client that?
No.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Can you redirect?
Just to confirm that, we've talked twice before.
Yes, sir.
You've never asked for me to do anything for you. I've never offered to help you out in any way with any of your cases.
No.
Okay. You're here to testify because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr.
Oh, nothing else. Thank you.
Okay. May we release this witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Welcome you.
State court. Next week.
Thank you, Judge. This is called Kelsey.
All right, so let's go to the next one now. Uh-oh, I ain't mean to do that. Hold on. So that was the inmate. We watched the interrogation. Witness, let's see.
Right. Witness on Reddit.
I paused you. Hirsch.
He let us know he just got discovered.
Ex-officer being a stalk. Okay, so this is the young lady that he stalked, y'all. This is the young lady who apartment he tried to get into one night. They caught that on camera, and they also, I think we watched this at the beginning, y'all. And also he broke into her apartment. Okay. All right, so this is her testimony.
Full name?
E.L.
And Ms. Bates, how old are you?
23.
And Ms. Bates, are you working?
I do
Due process.
insurance.
How long have you done that work?
About two years.
Did you go to school?
I went to school for cosmetology.
What about high school? Did you graduate?
Yes, ma'am, I graduated.
What school did you graduate from?
Loganville High School.
Okay. And do you know Mr. Miles Bryant?
Yes.
When did you first meet him?
5th grade, Hamburg Elementary School.
Pembroke Elementary School?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that here in Gwinnett County?
Yes. Or no, yes, I think. I don't know.
It's okay. You said in 5th grade. Were you guys friends in 5th grade?
Yes, the best of friends.
The best of friends. Okay. And friends that went to each other's houses?
No.
Or just friends in school?
Just friends in school.
Okay. How long were you guys friends from 5th grade to what grade?
11th grade.
So from all the way through middle school and then most of high school.
Yes.
And in 11th grade, what school were you in then?
11th grade, I transferred to Loganville High School from Berkmar High School.
Okay, so you did your freshman and sophomore years at Berkmar High School?
Yes, ma'am.
And was Mr. Bryant at Berkmar as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you guys in the same grade?
We were.
And you were still friends in high school?
Yes.
What happened when you transferred to Loganville? Are you still friends?
I barely talked to him.
Okay. When you say barely talked to him, how often do you think you talked to him after you left and went to Loganville?
If he reached out, but I wouldn't make initial contact with him.
What about after you graduated from Loganville High School? Were you talking to him then?
No.
And at some point, actually, did you talk to him, you think, during your senior year of high school?
If he would have reached out, but I didn't reach out to him, no.
And did you guys ever hang out after you moved?
No.
And at some point, after you graduated and moved on to Loganville, did you hear from Mr. Bryant again?
Yes, after graduating in 2019, he reached out to me.
And I know you said you were the best of friends. Did you all ever date?
No, he liked me in 5th grade. We never dated. He dated my best friend, Kishana.
You dated your best friend, Kishana? What's Kishana's last name?
Phillips.
And was Kishana Phillips, did she go to Berkmar with you all too?
Wait.
Yes, until she moved to Berkshire.
What is wrong, girl? What? Now, I know she probably got this thing for this guy. She really... Miss Margie, she's giving me insight. Like, she don't like him. She looking at him. Now, those other two, like, well, I don't know about the one that didn't show Synovia, but I know the other, remember the other young lady that testified, y'all, that was an ex-girlfriend. She wouldn't even look his way. Like, honestly, she wouldn't even look his way. But this chick right here can't stop looking at him. And she's just acting like she is just disgusted. Like, she is, baby, she is really mad. Ooh, baby. She does. Ooh. I just wish she'd be still a little bit.
Okay. Do you know what grades Mr. Bryant dated Kishana?
I believe it was freshman year, and they probably were still dating up until senior year.
Okay. But you never hung out with Mr. Bryant outside of school?
Not unless Kishana was there. We did a movie double date. To the movies, I brought my own date, and he brought her, and we all hung out. And after, I went back to her house.
Okay. Back in September of 2022, do you remember reconnecting with Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
And in September of 2022, what were you doing with your life? Were you in school or working?
22, I was working 4 jobs.
4 jobs?
Yes.
Okay, tell us what jobs were you working then?
I worked at Taco Bell as a manager. I worked at Waffle House as a server. I worked at Publix as a stalker. And in my free time, I worked on Uber Eats. And I did hair, of course.
Of course. I don't know how you
My God,
explained that, but okay. So you're working those 4 jobs and you said you reconnected with them. Who initiated the contact to reconnect?
Miles reached out to me.
How did he reach out to you?
I believe it was Snapchat or text message. He reached out stating that he wanted to get back with Kishana and he wanted to talk.
At that point, were you still friends with Kishana? You guys are still in touch?
We talked here and there, not like the best of friends, but we definitely still had each other's back.
And then in September of 2022, when Mr. Bryant reached back out to you, where were you living?
I was staying in Snellville at Annistown, off Annistown Road at Stone Creek on the Green.
Is that an apartment complex?
Yes, ma'am.
And that apartment complex in Snellville, is that here in Gwinnett County?
I think it's Gwinnett.
Okay. And you said he reached back out to you. Did you see him in person?
Yes. When he texted me, he stated that he wanted to talk to me and get advice about them rekindling their relationship. So he pulled up to my apartment complex.
The apartment on Annistown?
Yes, ma'am. We sat in the car and talked.
Okay. And when you sat in the car and talked, did at some point he come inside your apartment?
Yes, ma'am. It was getting late. I was going to go pick my boyfriend up, and he came inside to talk to me for a little bit before he left. He said he wanted to make sure I made it home safe, made it inside.
Okay. And let's talk about your apartment. Describe your apartment. Was it first floor, second floor, third floor?
My apartment was on the second floor.
Okay. And is it an apartment that had a door that went to the outside, or did you go inside a building to get to the door?
Outside.
And how do you get up to your apartment? Stairs or elevator?
Stairs.
Okay. You said he came into your apartment. How long do you think he was in your apartment?
Maybe an hour, if that. I felt uncomfortable.
Why'd you feel uncomfortable?
He was at my apartment and we were talking. He sat on the couch, but then he asked to use the bathroom. I watch a lot of TV shows, a lot of SUV and Criminal Minds. When he asked to use the bathroom, I opened my room door because it connects. I felt like he was going to go in there. Sure enough, as soon as he didn't even use the bathroom, he opened the room door, starts to go in my room, looks around the closet. He was pushing on the walls, making sure it was sturdy.
What do you mean? What do you mean he's pushed on the walls?
Like the frame of the walls, like the door, he was pushing on it to see how strong it was.
Did he tell you that's why he was doing that?
No, he didn't ever say why. He did it on the front door as well.
Okay. And you said he went into your room. Where were you when he went into your room?
I was sitting on the kitchen counter. I was looking at my bank statements. I was a server, so I had like $500 in cash. The person I dated had only a Cash App account, so I asked Miles, could I give him the cash? And he transferred me the funds, which he agreed to.
So what do you mean? You asked him to transfer the funds. Explain why you did that.
Because I was a server. I didn't feel like running back out late to an ATM to deposit the money so that I could pay my rent. So I gave him cash and had him send me the funds, and then he left.
Okay, so he did that for you.
Mhm.
I said yes.
Sorry, yes, ma'am.
When he went into your bedroom, did you say anything to him?
Yes, I asked him what he was doing and why he was in there, and he was like, I'm just looking. It was weird.
Did you ask him to leave?
Yes, after he did that, I grabbed a knife and I had it like underneath my leg while he was in the house, just because I know he has that background. So if anything were to happen, I needed to be able to protect myself in a situation.
What background did you know he had?
I've been friends with him, like I said, since 5th grade. I knew that he took JROTC. He's been on plenty of trips and stuff like that with them. Then I knew that he had a military background and he's a cop.
After you hung out that time in September 2022, did you hear from him again?
Yes, he reached out multiple occasions. He kept calling me. He kept texting me, asking me to link. He asked me on an occasion about moonshine.
Okay. One moment.
What's going on with her?
You said you reached back out to you. Was that via phone or text?
Text.
Okay, I'm showing you what's the mark. It states 56. If you could take a moment and look at that document. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, ma'am.
And there are 3 pages that are stapled together and states 56. If you could look at all 3 of them. Are those text messages from your phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that a true and accurate copy of screenshots of text from your phone between you and the defendant that you took?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this time it's going to state 56.
No objection.
Okay, states 56 submitted without objection.
Permission to publish state 56, Your Honor?
I mean, you have a computer right here. It's going to come up, and there's one back there. So, but you can, either one is, there's water right here if you'd like some water.
Yes. And if you could zoom in so you can read the text messages. And this is your phone, correct, Ms. Bates?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is the date on the first message?
September 12th of 2022.
Okay. And the blue, is that you or just starting with the date and what the messages say?
September 12th of 2022 is question mark. Miles responds, this Miles, my bad. I was seeing such because I was out. You working, which is on September 13th of 2022 at 1:34 p.m. I responded September 13th at 9:22 p.m. Need to, but no, I couldn't. And he said, I'm going to pull up on you tomorrow if that looks. I said, no, I'll let you know. He said, okay. I never responded. He texted me again September 19th, 2022, 11:58. You up? The next day I responded at 7:33 a.m. Am now, you good?
Okay. Continue to the next page. And what is the date of the first message?
September 20th.
Okay, that's the one you just read. And what's the next one from?
September 20th at 4:24. He texted me and said, "Hey, are you free?" I never responded. He texted again September 20th at 6 p.m. I have that software downloaded. Let me know what's up.
Do you know what software he was talking about?
He wanted me to let him get my ex's phone so that he could see if my ex was talking to other people. And I said that I didn't need to do all that. Like, who does that? Like, I would just leave if it's that serious.
Okay, so you didn't ask him for any software.
No, ma'am.
Okay, you can keep reading. What's the next one back in October?
October 15th at 8:05. Link. I said, like, hang out. Link. Like, people typically say link as like sexual. It's not like just to hang out. So,
Okay. How did you respond?
I said I'm still on finishing an order. He said, "Bet I'm gonna be on that side. Let me know. I got this moonshine I want you to try." I said, "Oh, he'll laugh my fucking ass off," which is LMAFAO. Sorry.
Okay.
He said, "Not, it's good. It's banana pudding. Trust me."
Okay.
December 10th at 11:40.
Next one. Thank you.
He said, "Hey, just called to check on you. Good."
Okay. And was that the last message that you received?
Yes, ma'am.
And if we could scroll to the top. I'm sorry, you want to?
No, that's okay.
Up top.
Hi,
What do you
Cam.
have Mr. Bryant saved as your phone?
Miles the stalker with an axe and a hole.
Did you put that in there?
I sure did.
Why'd you put that in there?
Because he's stalking me and he's a weirdo.
Okay. We saw all those messages, him asking to hang out. After September 20th, the first day that you guys met up at your apartment, did you ever initiate any contact to hang out with him?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever go out with him? Or
Never called him, text him, none of that.
Just a moment.
Girl, you need to calm down. Okay, that's it. I got the fact. Now I'm mad. Now I am angry as a fuck. Like, I'm never using this channel again ever, because they don't have the entire testimony. I'm getting pissed off. What's next? That's the firearm one. The firearm found there. They're talking about the firearm. Officer requested Miles. Now that's the detective we listened to, and I knew I didn't hear her testimony, but we're gonna skip through that too as well. We heard enough. That's the detectives continue she testified for a long time. I want to see about this evidence bag. Now, what evidence did they find? Hey, Slay, good morning. Have a good day at work, sweetie.
Did the defendant provide any reason whatsoever why his vehicle would have been parked on the street there?
No.
There was a search conducted of the defendant's vehicles that we've spoken about. I want to ask you about a few items that were located in those searches. There was a photograph that was taken, and Ms. Nettinger testified to in his vehicle and it's labeled as State's Exhibit 17.11.
Thank you for the lights. I appreciate it.
These photographs. I'm going to start with 17.12 here. This was testified to an evidence bag with $1,000 in it.
Hi, Natasha.
Truck. Tell me, are police officers? What is the policy as it relates to if money is taken in some form of arrest as evidence, if it's taken lawfully by the police in an encounter of some kind? What is an officer's obligation or responsibility as it relates to evidence in general?
We have to turn it into evidence.
All right. And is there a time frame on when you have to do that?
Yes.
What is that?
Depending on the item, but money specifically, immediately, pretty much.
Okay. Let me ask you, is it permissible for an officer to ever take money seized from a defendant or suspect or some kind of incident, put it into his personal vehicle, and carry it around for an unspecified amount of time?
No.
Right. In terms of evidence bags in general, do they have the ability for you to document information related to a case?
Yes, they do.
All right. Now, this one, did it have any documentation that it was related to any particular case?
It did not.
Okay. And I'll also just so we can, I mentioned 17.11, but that photograph here, that's the same bag that we were just looking at in the previous one?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I also want to show you another photograph from that search here. It is State's Exhibit 17.3. All right, can you see that here?
Yes, I can.
All right, and I'm going to zoom in and ask you specifically down here in the floorboard. This item right here, what is this?
Those are zip ties.
zip tie,
or sorry, flex cuffs
flex cuffs.
that are similar to zip ties. That's the kind of the mechanism that it uses.
So they lock like a normal zip tie might, but what are these used for?
These specifically are not used yet. It's very rare that we use them. It's when there's not enough handcuffs on scene with individuals that need to be detained.
And why is that? Why would you not utilize these on a regular basis as a law enforcement officer?
You can't get them off with a handcuff key. You have to have scissors or something. It's actually Gwinnett County's policy. You can't use these unless you have scissors that can cut them.
All right. Now, in terms of are these oftentimes are they distributed to police officers by police departments?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever carry them in your personal vehicle?
No.
And why is that?
There's no reason to. I don't know why I would.
Okay. Why you would ever carry them in your personal vehicle?
I'm not using them while I'm in my personal vehicle.
Understood. Now, there's there was another photograph taken of the instruction.
I can't do these short videos. They irritate the hell out of me. Hold on, y'all. Oh wow, I keep doing it. All right, let's see what's next, because I think I'm gonna move on to the this closing statements. Hold on. It was somebody else. Okay. Full closing arguments. Okay, let's get to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, things come up that we had to deal with before the state presents its closing. All right, you ready?
Yes, Ron.
Absolutely.
This badge is supposed to stand for something. It's supposed to stand for the obligation somebody takes to serve and to protect their community. Every officer takes that sworn statement. It's on the side of police cars. They are to serve and to protect. That flag, the United States flag, means something. When somebody in the National Guard takes an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and the laws of our country and the laws of the state of Georgia, it means something. But to the defendant, it meant nothing. He took those oaths, and as you see through the trial, violated them time and time again. He didn't serve, he didn't protect, he abused. He took his power, he took his badge, and he used that to violate the law. He used that to murder. He is a cop-turned killer. I told you in the opening, there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. I am certain that the defendant hoped this would never come to light. Hoped that nobody would ever find his gun laying in the woods next to Susanna's murdered body. But the reality is it has come to light. And he faces justice now. Despite having hidden, covered up, lied, stolen, he faces justice now before you. The straight went from the law. The judge is 21 pages of the law. It's going to charge you about every area of the law that you should consider, and Ms. Drake went over several of those. And I want to point out a few that I think are important. I don't want to spend a lot of time on them because you're going to have them. You have a copy of them, each of you will. You'll be able to read them exactly and precisely for yourself. But there are a few tenets of the law that form and frame how trials happen, how you should consider the evidence in this case, what your obligations and responsibilities are. The charges in the indictment, malice murder. What does it mean? What is malice murder? Oftentimes in Georgia, we have a unique system. we have two different charges for murder. It's malice murder and felony murder. In other states, you may hear first or second or third degree murder or premeditated murder. Those don't exist in Georgia. There are just two. It's malice murder and felony murder. And both of them are charged in this case. And I think it's important to understand what those mean and what the elements are. If here it says, and you'll have this charge in the jury room, it says exactly this, that it requires that you find the defendant caused the death of Suzanne Morales. He did so unlawfully and with malice aforethought. Right? That's a legal phrase. It's in the law and it's in the statute. It says malice aforethought. But what is that? What is malice? This is what it is. It's when someone acted with deliberate intention to unlawfully take the life of another person. You'll read in there, it's not premeditation. It doesn't mean that this had to be months or weeks or days or even hours of premeditation. It means it can happen in a moment, but it has to be intentional, right? And that's what malice means. You're gonna get the full charge in there and you can read it. In this case, we believe that the defendant acted with malice, that he intentionally took and snatched the life of Suzanne Morales on July 26th of 2022. There is felony murder. Felony murder happens when somebody causes the death of another person while committing a felony, and it doesn't require malice. You don't have to find that he intentionally did it. It could be accidental in felony murder. It could be an accident. I didn't mean to kill her, but in the commission of a felony, she died. That's the definition of felony murder. It's charged in all kinds of instances. In this case, it is charged that he kidnapped Suzanne Morales. We're going to get to the facts. Ms. Drake brought up that there's no evidence of kidnapping. And I strongly disagree. And I will show you exactly what that evidence is. But the felony that the state has alleged is that the defendant was committing kidnapping. He took Suzanne. He took her, he threw her phone out of the car, and he ultimately drove her all the way to Pacula, and where he killed and dropped her body. That is kidnapping. And if in that process of kidnapping her, she dies, that's felony murder. That's the definition. Kidnapping means to abduct or steal away Suzanne without his authority. Without authority, without lawful authority. Not using a badge, he didn't arrest her. There's no police report. He didn't arrest her or lawfully take her with his badge as a police officer. Unlawfully, without authority, took Suzanne Morales, held her against her will, and it caused any sort of bodily injury. It could be a scratch. In this case, it's her death. Attempted rape. Rape is a pretty obvious crime and what it means. It means to forcibly have sex with a man, forcibly raping him, having sex with a woman against her will. Right? And there's a charge on it in there, the full definition of what rape is. What is attempted rape? What means you attempted to do that? We don't have to prove, and we're not alleging that he followed through, that he actually did. And as we'll get into it here, the reason we didn't allege that is that over the passage of 196 days, Suzanne's body completely deteriorated. She was 100% skeletal. Couldn't recover semen. You can't recover forensic evidence of that nature on a body that's completely skeletal. And so there is no way to prove that he actually raped her. The charge is attempted rape. And what attempt means is that you have to commit some sort of substantial step to further the crime. Right? I can't just think about it. It's not just a thought crime that he wanted to rape her or that he thought about raping her. That's not enough. Attempted rape means he took a step towards doing it. And here the step is that he kidnapped her. And as we'll go over here in just a little bit, her body is found completely naked. No clothes whatsoever on her body. And lastly, false report of a crime. This requires that he willfully and knowingly with the Gwinnett County Police Department. Ms. Drake told you he's guilty of that. Right? That might be the easiest obligation you have, but it's significant that she said that. Right? We're gonna watch portions of this interview. You're gonna get to see here in just a second again what he said, but he lied repeatedly, over and over and over and over again to detectives. Not just one detective, not just two detectives, not three, 4 detectives. Lied for 3.5 hours about I didn't drop the gun. It was taken. I promise. I wouldn't lie to you. What you will see at the end of this case is that the defendant doesn't know how to tell the truth. Everything he says is a lie. Everything in the interview he said is a lie. And if he's lying about that, ask yourself, why is Ms. Drake admitting that, but not admitting the other stuff? There's a charge on reasonable doubt. This encapsulates this entire process. Reasonable doubt. The state's burden, as Ms. Rick pointed out, in every criminal case, whether it's shoplifting or murder, is that we have to prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Right? It's such a common phrase that it's ingrained into most of our minds, and in our daily lives we hear that phrase. And oftentimes we misconstrue that phrase. What does it actually mean? Oftentimes we use it in common vernacular and daily life to mean that we got to be positive, right? We've got to be 100% sure and certain of things, but that's not what it means, right? And in fact, who's really 100% certain of anything in life, right? There's an old adage, the only thing certain is death and taxes, right? But even that is somewhat of a joke, right? Being 100% certain of anything in life, am I 100% certain that after this I'm probably going to go eat? No. I would like to think that maybe I will, but I'm not 100% certain of that. And the reality is we're not 100% certain of almost anything in life. That's not what reasonable doubt means. What it means is a doubt based upon common sense and reason. You're going to get the full charge. You can read it. It is, as previously stated, a doubt of a fair-minded, impartial juror honestly seeking the truth. Right? But a phrase that is very important here is common sense. I'm going to explain to you why that's important. It also means not beyond all doubt. It doesn't mean that you have to go back into that jury room and convince yourself beyond every single doubt of the defendant's guilt. That's not what reasonable doubt means. You are authorized to convict him even if you have a doubt. That's what the law is. It's a reasonable doubt. And we're going to talk about that. It's not a mathematical certainty. I do not have to foreclose every other possibility, as Ms. Drake said. You are not searching for doubt. Ms. Drake brought this up at the end of her closing. That is not the job of a juror, to go and search and come up with wild theories that could possibly be true. Right? That's not the job of a juror. Right? As you go back there, if you have reasonable doubts, ones that make sense based on your own common sense, those are reasonable doubts. And it's not vague or arbitrary. It means, and those are legal phrases that we use, but what that means, and you're going to see it in the chart, it means that it can't be something that's just, I can't place my finger on it, but it just seems that maybe there's a doubt, I don't know. It has to be something concrete that you point at with common sense and reason and arrive at. And the point here is that it is based on your common sense. You're going to read that in the chart. Why is that? Because in our jury system, we ask jurors to decide cases for which they've never heard about or seen about, and based on evidence presented solely here in the courtroom. And how do you do that as a juror? Well, you don't walk through that door or that door and check your brain. You are expected. We asked you to be on the jury. We selected you to be on the jury because you each carry with you your own life experiences and common sense, and you are to employ those in the reasoning and resolution of this case. I like to explain reasonable doubt this way. I looked at this photograph and I asked, what made these tracks? Is it reasonable to think that a dog walking on the beach made these tracks? Yes, that's reasonable. And why is that reasonable? It's reasonable because I have life experience and I have common sense and I have a dog and I've been to the beach and I've seen a dog walk on the beach. And in my life, I've watched dogs walk on the beach. And I've seen what happens when a dog walks on the beach. And I've seen the paw prints that a dog leaves on the beach. That's reasonable for me to conclude that a dog made this. But let me ask you, is it possible something else did? Yeah, sure. It's possible that before I took this photograph, I came along with a fake dog leg and stamped dog prints in the sand as I walked along and took this photograph. That's possible. But is that reasonable? When you see this photograph, in your common sense, the first thing that comes to your mind, it's that a dog was walking on the beach and left these prints. And you arrive at that conclusion because it's common sense. In much the same way, my children, who made this mess, I am certain that my children would love for me to believe that they didn't make this mess, right? That instead, maybe burglars broke into my house and went up into my son and my daughter's room, messed everything up, and nothing else in the house. They only messed up there. Maybe my children would like me to believe that, right? But is that reasonable? Well, the answer is no, right? And why? Because I know my children, and I know what children do. Including my children did. I wasn't there when it happened. I don't have cameras in their room. I don't have a witness who's going to come and tell me, hey, your son messed up his room. Right? But I reach reasonable conclusions based on my own common sense. Is it possible somebody else did it? Sure. It's possible somebody broke into my home and messed their room up and left and messed up nothing else. But that's not reasonable. Right? And that's what reasonable doubt is. When you're in the back, Is there, are there other theories? Are there other things that Ms. Drake would like for you to believe happened here? Sure, there are other things that she has posited out there that she has said. None of them are reasonable. You're going to get some charges on evidence, right? What type of evidence? What can we consider? What can we not consider? Those types of things. There are two words, two types of evidence that you commonly hear. Ms. Drake has talked about some of the direct evidence and circumstantial evidence. Now, if you ask 9 out of 10 people, tell me what circumstantial evidence means, everybody will discount it, right? Oh, that's circumstantial, completely circumstantial. You can't believe or conclude anything because the evidence is all circumstantial. And I imagine, like me, you may have heard that. You may even have that strongly held belief that that's what it means. But it is entirely something different. In the legal context in the courtroom, that's not what it means. Direct evidence is evidence that can be seen or heard or otherwise directly sensed, such as by smell, taste, or touch. Also hearing. So things that you've heard in the courtroom, such as witness testimony, the exhibits that you'll have in the back, all of these photographs, you've got the discs, there's physical evidence, the defendant's gun left at the scene. That is all direct evidence, and you are authorized to consider it. Right? You should consider direct evidence. Right? It makes sense. You've seen it. Witnesses have testified about it. That's the stuff that you look at and you consider. But you also consider circumstantial. Well, what does this mean? Circumstantial evidence is the proof of facts or circumstances by direct evidence, from which you may infer other related or connected facts that are reasonable and justified in light of your experience. This goes back to the photographs I showed you. I've got direct evidence. That photograph of the dog prints on the beach. I got direct evidence. I got the photograph, right? But I want to know what caused it. How do I reach that conclusion? It's based on circumstantial evidence. My own experience leads me to believe in reasonable and justified ways that the dog did it. In much the same way my children in their room. I've got direct evidence of the mess. I've got direct evidence of the toys everywhere, but I've got no video footage or proof. Well, how could anybody arrive at a conclusion if we have to have video of every single thing? Right? That's never required. Right? It's never required to have video. Certainly it would have been wonderful to have the whole thing on video. But with my kids, much like this case, I can use my reasoning and reach that conclusion based on circumstantial evidence. Ms. Drake cited to you a charge, and it said that to authorize a conviction on circumstantial evidence alone, the state's theory of guilt, the state's evidence, I have to disprove every other reasonable theory. And that's a charge that you're going to read. It's in there, and it says that. What the charge means, and what Ms. Drake did not tell you, is that situation applies only where the only evidence presented is circumstantial evidence. But that's not the case here. You have direct evidence to consider. You have all of the exhibits. You have your recollection of what every witness said and the notes that you took to help you with that recollection. That's direct evidence. That, in conjunction with the circumstantial evidence, you are authorized to consider all things. The direct evidence, the circumstantial evidence, and arrive at reasonable conclusions based upon that. Oftentimes I utilize this as an example. This is direct evidence. I don't need much more to know that the dog chewed up the pillow. He is actively, currently in the process of doing it. But how does that change whenever I find this? Right? I don't have a photograph of the dog chewing up the stuff. But I do have some direct evidence. I've got the mess. And I've got circumstantial evidence, which are my reasonable inferences from that evidence. What does all of this mean for you? What it means is that you use your common sense. That's all we're asking you to do. And I hope that as you walked in here and sat down for the first time and started hearing this evidence, that all of this that you heard makes sense. This is common sense, what happened here. We don't have to go hunting for Bigfoot in the woods here. This is obvious of what happened to Susana Morales. You will use your common sense. But there are some strategies that the defense has used in this case to try to mislead you, to try and lead you astray. There's a quote, they muddy the waters to make it seem deep. All right, what does that mean? Well, if you've ever seen a stream, if you've ever seen a creek bed or a river, oftentimes that water can be very clear. You can see all the way to the bottom. You know just how deep it is, and you know what's on the bottom of it. You know what water is, and it takes a stick and stirs everything up so that you can't see, or so that it doesn't appear clear to you. And it's distraction. It's taking your focus off of what's important in the case and coming up with random theories and conjecture that makes no sense in light of this case and in context. There's another defense strategy. This is a red herring. And we may have heard that phrase in psychology or in human reasoning and thinking, what is a red herring? What's an actual fish? Red herring is a fish. Where did this phrase come from? When back in the day, hunters would use hunting dogs to track animals, foxes, deer, whatever they were hunting, they would use hunting dogs. And oftentimes, in order to train the dogs, hunters would take a red herring fish and they would run it across the scent trail of the animal they were tracking. The whole point of that was to train the dog to ignore the scent of the red herring, because dogs, they pick up on scent, and they would follow the red herring trail, and they would not follow the right trail to do what they were hunting, right? And that's where the phrase came from. What it is the injection of irrelevant or unsupported facts, in this case, by the defense, that is meant to take you off the path, out of the hunt. It's meant to take you down some side path that makes no sense, and hopefully distract you from the truth of this on Synovia. That's a red herring. You'll hear again here in a moment, but you already heard from the defendant in his interview. She had nothing to do with it. Her phone records and his phone records, she's in Doraville and down Peachtree Corners. Lockheed is out at the scene with her body. There's no questioning of Synovia on the stand whatsoever about, did you do this? Were you involved? Did you kill her? The defendant told you in his interview she had nothing to do with it. She didn't kill Susanna. But it's red herring, right? If we can distract you, if we can take you off course, it's something that doesn't matter. That's just not an issue in the case. Another one, and this is a big one. Drugs. What testimony did you hear about drugs? You heard that Susanna liked to smoke marijuana, and she smoked marijuana. You heard the testimony in the case that she had tried a pill one time and wrote about it in her journal and said she didn't like it. And she told Axel, her boyfriend, it made me feel disgusted with myself. That is the evidence of drugs. The rest of this, about maybe she overdosed, maybe she died that way, is a complete red herring, unsupported by any evidence in the case. Not a single person told you that she overdosed. Not a single person told you that she even had other drugs that night, or any night other than one time, months and months before that incident. That's a red herring. But these are the defense strategies. And the reality is, when the evidence in the case is so overwhelming, when it points so dramatically to one conclusion, to one person, the defendant, Miles Bryant, is the only person involved and responsible for Susanna's death, what other choice does she have? What other choice is there than to throw out possibilities and theories that have absolutely no support? There is no other evidence. There is no other support and no other conclusion that you can reach, and we'll get to that. I want to take you through a timeline of Susanna's murder. What we know about the timeline is that around 7 p.m. she left her Kelly's house. Right? How do we know that? Well, her mother, Maria, when she took the stand and said she left, she said 6 o'clock. That was what she said. But the phone records very clear. She said, I called her about 10 or 15 minutes later after she left to make sure she had gotten to Esmeralda's house. And we all know she can go to Esmeralda's house. She went to Kelly's house. She called her 10 or 15 minutes later. Well, that's at 7:17 p.m. Mom called her. 7:17, you heard that, right? You got to see Investigator Wilbanks map out for you that exact call as it came in at 7:17 p.m. And what it showed very clearly is that she's not at Kelly's house at that time. She's not over at Alyssa's house. She's in the area here of Singleton Road, where Investigator Wilbanks told you would be consistent with her walking down Singleton Road to go to the apartment complex. Right? That's at 7:17 p.m. From 7:28 to 9:58 p.m. We know that based on her Life 360, she is at the apartment complex, and she's with Kelly, and she's with Alyssa, and they're hanging out. They told you she was there with us, right? Nobody's got exact times. Nobody was putting their stopwatch on. I started my stopwatch when I started talking, just so I know how long I'm talking, but nobody does that in real life. They give you an estimate of how long they take home, right? Around 10 o'clock, she went home, right? 9:30 to 10, I think is what they said, is what Kelly said. 9:30 to 10 o'clock, somewhere in that time frame. I walked her to the end of the neighborhood, and that's when she went home, right? And that's consistent with her Life 360. That shows her there. We have, at this point, 9:58 to 10:07. It shows this trip of her walking home, right? And it's at 9:58 to 10:07. What is, and we'll get to it here in a minute, but what is really interesting is, as Investigator Wilbanks talked about, this is based on cellular networks, it's based on when your phone picks it up, when it doesn't pick it up, but it shows several different points on here that are relevant, including that she's on Singleton Road, and then she is on Santa Ana Drive, which is where she lives. She is steps away from her home. She is steps away from being home. You saw this. I'm just going to turn the sound off the laptop real quick. But you saw that. Next, what we know is that sometime during that period of time, she disappears. How do we know that? How do we know she disappeared? There's not a single phone call. There's not a single text message. There's not a single social media post, not a comment, not a message to any friends, not reaching out to anyone ever again. The last visible or physical or electronic trace of Susanna's life is as she's walking past King David County. That's it. After that, there is virtually no trace forever until she's found in the woods. She made it back to Santa Ana Drive. She is literally, Kelly and Alyssa told you, at the end of that night, they had a great night. There were no problems. There were no issues. She was walking home. She wanted to go home. They were all going to bed. There was no discussion of her going anywhere else. There was no discussion of her doing anything else other than going home. And in a particularly tender moment, they said, we thought we were going to see her the next day. We thought that we were going to hang out the next day. She made it all the way back to her road before something happened to her. Before she immediately changes directions and ends up back in the defendant's own apartment complex. Alyssa and Kelly told you, they didn't see her the rest of the night. The Detective Carter told you, she knows no one else in the apartment complex. She has no other connections in that apartment complex. There is absolutely no reason that she would voluntarily go back to that apartment complex. There's no prior messages. There are no prior phone calls. There are no prior social media messages. The lifeblood of a teenage girl and communicating with friends and people whom she knows. There's nothing ever in her life connecting her to that apartment other than Alyssa Kelly. But yet, and here's what's interesting. This trip is a 9-minute trip, 9:58 to 10:07. There's an impossibility for her to get from Santa Ana Drive back to here in that period of time without home. You saw her walking all the way to Santa Ana. We know she walked to Santa Ana Drive. We know she passed the King David Academy because she's walking. But then almost in an instantaneous moment, she's back in Windstate Village Lane, apartments, the Sterling Glen Apartments where the defendant lives, where he but says the detectives in the interview, he would post it all the time. He'd sit there in his truck and he'd monitor what's going on in the exits and in the parking lots. And he sits there. And she gets back there. It's impossible walking. Plus, there's no other camera footage. They reviewed all the camera footage. She didn't walk back past King David County. She didn't voluntarily walk back to the apartment complex. But she ends up there. At 10:20, Ms. Griggs said, what happened between 10:21 and 10:29? We absolutely know. I absolutely know. Because we have the images of exactly what happened. She is traveling at 40 miles an hour down Singleton and Steve Reynolds Boulevard before there is a crash alert at the Oak Block Trace neighborhood. That's exactly what happened. Her phone is traveling at 40 miles an hour. And you don't have to have any specialized training or knowledge to understand a human being can't walk or run that fast. She is in a moving vehicle. You heard testimony from Detective Carter, who has significant experience and understanding of Life 360. You don't get a crash alert by dropping your phone. Everybody told me that. We've dropped our phone. Nobody's ever gotten a crash alert. You don't get a crash alert by braking hard. There were no accidents that time.
Your Honor, I believe that is misstating the evidence. You can get a crash alert from hard brake. Detective Carter testified to that.
Mayor, so what the testimony, the text message says, it could be many of those things. With the testimony, and I don't make up evidence, the testimony from the witnesses is that nobody has ever gotten a crash alert from hard braking.
That's my recollection.
But they also introduced the message itself, which says this could be from hard braking.
Absolutely.
The photograph here, and what's interesting about this, Detective Carter testified and told you that what appears to happen up here is a U-turn on Steve Reynolds Boulevard. I'm going to take you to the testimony of Synovia. She said, I saw the defendant coming back this way on Steve Reynolds Boulevard, and then he turned right here. And that's where she confronted him, right, about the vehicle. That's wholly consistent with him turning around, you turning on Steve Reynolds Boulevard and coming back. But in any event, at that moment, Susanna's phone is thrown from the vehicle. There are no accidents. There are no, she didn't drop it. It doesn't happen. Detective Carter told you of significant importance. The only way you can get a crash alert is that your vehicle has to be traveling more than 25 miles an hour for at least 30 seconds. That's the rules for Life 360. I didn't make them up. They did. And that's what she testified to. So if there are no accidents and there are no other incidents, her phone is thrown from the vehicle. How else do we know that? You're going to see here in a minute, phone records. Her phone never moved again. It stayed there, despite her body ending up 22 miles away. 60-year-old girl voluntarily throwing her phone out of the window because she doesn't want it, and then ending up dead? That doesn't make any sense. What makes sense is the defendant throwing her phone out of the vehicle. And how do we know that makes sense? Because Mr. Drake did mention it one time in her closing. That's what she doesn't want you to know. She doesn't want you to think about. No possible version of events that she is attempting to get you to believe can account for the defendant throwing Susanna Morales' phone out of the window. It makes no sense. Why would he throw it out? Why would he? He's murdered. He doesn't want to be tracked. Those phones can be tracked, and we tracked them, but her phone never moved. It stayed there through 76 missed calls from her mother and her sister and her friends and her boyfriend. And it rang, and it rang, and it rang. You heard another red herring, in this case, another distraction tool, was that Mr. Drake questioned witnesses about the battery being dead, right? There's no way that that could be where the phone remained because the battery is dead at 10:30. Well, you heard numerous expert witnesses testify to you that phone did not die at 10:30 p.m. It died after 6 a.m. And how did we know that? Because her phone records show call after call after call, logging and pinging off the same tower in the same sector, never moving again after 10:29 p.m. We do know that her phone was thrown at that time at 10:29. The crash alert that was received shows Susanna at that location at 10:29 p.m. and her phone is never found again. It's never recovered. This is that area at Oak Lawn Trace where that occurred. What's the next thing that happens? Right. There's not much else that happens that we have documented other than the defendant sending his mother text messages. 11:58 p.m. It's me. Mom told you she never saw him that night. No explanation as to why he sent that text message. I understand. We have a text message. That's the only other text message. That's the only other documented activity. Just here, Willis told you, I went through all these phone records. And for that period of time, there were other phone records that showed him moving. If you recall the maps, showed him moving a little after midnight from Norcross up to Interstate 85, to Highway 316, past the airport in Lawrenceville, all the way driving out to Cuba, Georgia, 22 miles away from his house. At 12:52 a.m., it shows the defendant in the woods, in the woods in Tequila, Georgia, where his gun is recovered and Susanna's body is found. We know he was there at least 6 minutes later because he's still thinking off the same tower at the same time, or 6 minutes later. Right? You'll recall his changing stories with Detective Carter. He initially said, I never went down 316. I drove around the Norcross area. I didn't go down past Lawrenceville and Highway 316. And then they confronted him with records. Oh, this does look bad. I did go down Highway 316. That's what he said. I did go down Highway 316. I did drive down that way. And yeah, okay, so maybe my phone was around that area. But I just drove. I just drive everywhere. Right? And then you're there for an extended period of time. It's not just 6 minutes. Uh-oh. You're in the exact same area. We're at 1:39 in the morning. So he's been there at this point for 47 minutes in the woods with Susanna's body and with his gun. That's not it. That shows you right there. And you heard Detective Poppy goes, well, that's not it, right? That can't be, you can't just have been sitting there because we had Detective Carter testify and tell you how long were those calls that he was out. And only one of them lasted, it was less than 10 minutes. The other ones weren't even answered. So we got 47 minutes. He's on the phone with Zenobia for less than 10. In one of these 4 calls, right there, where her body's at. 1:46. We're now 7 minutes later. 1:46 in the morning, he's still there. We're almost an hour of him there in Tequila, Georgia, with her body, his gun, And again, at 1:46 a.m. And then the next morning, the second part told you she didn't ask him about this because she didn't have these records yet in the interview. He went back. He went back. Mr. Rick told you. He lied completely about the gun. He lied about the gun. He lied about dropping the gun in the woods. And he lied about the gun. He went back. She told you that just a moment ago, that he went back. I didn't need her to tell you that, because we already told you that. He went back at 9:35. And you don't have to doubt why he went back. She told you why he went back. She told you he went into the woods. So despite his repeated statements to the police that he had never gone in the woods, that he was never out of his truck, that he only saw parked inside of Highway 316, that had nothing to do with this, complete fabrication. It's an absolute lie. Sergeant Georgetown said it best. That's a bold-faced lie. Everything you're saying is a bold-faced lie in that interview. Shows you again the next morning, back out there at 9:35. But what's significant about that? We'll talk to you about that in a moment. But I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about who she was. What you heard testimony of. Happy. Life of the party. Comic to her friends. 16-year-old girl. And in the prime of her life. She's just getting started. No connection to the defendant. Alyssa Marvin told you that as they were walking out of the apartment complex, the defendant offered them a ride, which they declined. She also told you that she, Alyssa, talked to the defendant at the pool and Susan was there. That's it. She is present 2 times when the defendant shows up. That does not show a relationship. It does not show any communication between the two of them. It doesn't even show that she knew him, ever spoke to him, or talked to him, ever. In fact, Detective Carter went through her phone records, through the defendant's phone records, through the defendant's cell phones, through both of their social media accounts, not one single communication in history between the two of them. Ever. Ever. She didn't know him. He was a stranger. She had never interacted with him. There is no evidence, period, that she had ever interacted. In fact, there is evidence to the contrary. There's no communication. Somebody you interact with, somebody you're friends with, somebody you know, you're talking to on the phone or through text messages or probably most teenagers, social media. Zero. She didn't know. She had never spoken to him. There's no evidence of her ever even speaking to him. She was walking home from her friend's house. That's what she heard. Kelly and Alyssa told you everything was normal with her that night. And yes, she smoked marijuana. And according to the defense, apparently that's somehow justification for murder. That she's smoking marijuana, so she must be a troubled teenage girl. Straight to consider herself like most teenagers who smoke marijuana. That's all that happened that night with her. There's no evidence of her using anything else, of her taking anything else, of anything else ever other happening to her whatsoever in life. Her friends hoped to see her the next day, but when she left, despite communicating and talking and texting with her best friends on the planet, she never sent another message ever. Not, hey, I'm going to go over here, I'm going with this person, or this, or that, or anything. There are none on any platform, anywhere. And even if we thought, well, maybe somebody deleted it, they're not her phone records. There's no outgoing messages. There are no outgoing phone calls. She never called another person. She never texted another person or communicated with another human being other than the defendant that night. All of her friends said she would not get into the truck with someone she didn't know. The defendant, she did not know him. He is a stranger. He is what goes bump in the night. He is the one who uses his badge to prey upon innocent girls, which is what he did that night. She didn't know him, and everyone testified there's absolutely she's never gotten into the vehicle with anybody she didn't know. She's never done it. She would never do this. The people who know her best in life, her best friends, and she, as a relative testified, I told you, Rose, no, Alyssa, Kelly, she would not do this. She was in a happy relationship with Axel. He told you. I loved her, and I think she loved me back. They had been going out for a couple of months. Friends told you she's not that kind of girl. She had no evidence that she would ever go just hook up with somebody else, somebody random, particularly somebody she did not know, that she had never spoken to and never communicated with in her entire life. But yet somehow she ends up completely naked in the woods a few hours later. She was going home. Their theory of something else happening makes absolutely no sense and isn't supported by a single shred of evidence. Not one thing that they can point to say, this is what she did. This is where she went. There's nothing. She was going home. The evidence that you heard in the case from her family and her friends, as we talked about, that she was happy and healthy. She would not run away. Ms. Drake says, oh, she's run away. She's a deprived child, or she's just somebody who just runs away constantly. Her mother, her sister, all her friends told me that didn't happen. She didn't run away, right? Would she stay at friends' homes? Sure. But her mother always knew where she was. And her sister always knew where she was. Not one time in her 16 years of life has she ever not come home and not told anybody where she was. That's the kind of person Susanna was. Not some deviant pothead who was irresponsible and not talking to her mom and running off into the night with strangers. Despite whatever characterization the defense wants to make about her, that is not true. She always told everybody where she was. She didn't know the defendant. She wouldn't get into the truck with a stranger. She was on her way home. And that she had absolutely no reason to go back to the apartment complex that night. Not one. The Gwinnett Police, multiple detectives from the Special Victims Unit and the Gwinnett Homicide Unit told you about searching for her. Not a trace. Not anything about her whereabouts. Canvassing the Sterling Glen Apartments, nobody who ever saw her again. Nobody who ever saw her come back to Sterling Glen Apartments that they found. Nobody who ever said she walked back to the apartments. None of her friends. She didn't text any of them, didn't call any of them and say, I've changed my mind, I'm doing this. Or I'm going here. Or I met this person. Or I'm doing that. None of that happened. She vanished without a trace. You heard from the medical examiner of how this defendant dumped and left her body in the woods. Not there. Didn't even dig her a grave. Dropped her body in the woods and left her there for animals to take, to eat her flesh. Her family for 196 days, no funeral, because they got together for 196 days. No even knowledge of where she was, if she was alive, if she was kidnapped and being held somewhere, if she was anything. He callously left her body here. You heard about the autopsy. Testimony from Detective Carter and from Dr. Terry. They'd never, ever seen a teenager dumped in the woods naked and it wasn't a homicide. Not one time. Dr. Terry, over 30 years of being a forensic pathologist, over, I think she said 6,400, but it might be more than that, autopsies she's conducted, including numerous ones with skeletal remains. The experience that she has is unparalleled in DeKalb County, in Fulton County, in Gwinnett County, and across the metro Atlanta area. Never seen it, never. And what she did tell me was that she was very suspicious of this being homicidal violence, based on the circumstances of what happened. A 16-year-old girl ending up naked in the middle of the woods in Decula, Georgia, on the side of Highway 316. No way to get there, no messages, no anything. But this is a homicide. She said, I have to be consistent. I didn't find skeletal trauma, so I can't say homicide. I just can't say the word homicide. But it's very suspicious of homicidal violence. There's no way she could have gotten out there at her location. And what's more, and you'll hear yet again here in a moment, the defendant definitively told you this wasn't an accident. If you recall, in the interview that he gave, he foreclosed every single theory, reasonable theory that Ms. Drake is trying to convince you was reasonable. He said it didn't happen. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't an overdose. It wasn't something. It wasn't there. He told you in the interview it wasn't an accident. And what's also interesting, 3.5 hours of hearing from detectives about how his gun is found feet away from Susanna Morales, the missing 16-year-old girl. He came in and played completely dumb, but we all know that's a complete fabrication. He had done research on her for the entire 196 days. So he knew exactly everything that was going on, despite playing dumb to the detectives. He never asked one time how she died. He never said, was she shot with my gun? My gun's out there. It's because he knows how she died. Dr. Terry told you, it is particularly suspicious of strangulation. And that's relevant because the DNA, they didn't find DNA. If she had been shot or stabbed in the truck or before and put in the truck, there'd probably be blood everywhere. You can't hide that. If she had overdosed, they'd be vomit. They found no traces of that, right? It's based on all of that, Dr. Terry was extremely suspicious of strangulation, of this asphyxial form of death, strangulation. We found the defense gun. You see the photographs. You have the gun. It's his serial number reported stolen that night. The next night. This is him.
So yesterday, I don't know what time, man. I went running around here. I did a bunch of stuff yesterday. And I came back and went to the store, everything. I had it at the store. And I came back, I went running everything, and then my girls from the leave. I was like, I got my wallet. I don't know where my wallet at. so I can't find my wallet. And then this morning, I worked doorbell, get my dry cleaner at work tonight, and then I looked on my floorboard, and the my Glock 19 holster is on the floorboard, and my Glock 19 is always together, you know. Right. So, I hate to say, I think I left my, they ain't smashed the window or nothing. I fucked around, left my door.
A police officer sworn to tell the truth, to uphold the law, wears a badge, has the responsibilities and obligations that come with that. But yet, he's standing there telling another police officer a complete lie, an absolute fabrication. That he left his doors unlocked and somebody came and took his gun. You don't even have to think hard about that. I don't think Mr. Rick told you. That's a complete lie. But he is standing there to another law enforcement officer. This isn't some just last minute cover up. This is him making significant conscious decisions to lie and cover up and create some elaborate tale of what happened that night. This is at 10:30, approximately in the morning, July 27th. And what's important about that? At 9:35, he is in the woods, less than an hour before he makes this report. He's in the woods looking for the gun. He's out there trying to find it as he dropped it. 9:43, he's already headed back at this point to his apartment complex. By 9:43, he's driving back on 316 past Lawrenceville, goes directly back to his apartment and calls the police to report the gun stolen. Innocent people don't do that. Innocent people don't call the police and make up wild allegations. You know, there's this line in his interview where I wouldn't do this because I wouldn't want to jeopardize my career. That is complete nonsense. Every piece of evidence you've seen in this case is the defendant making a conscious decision not to torch his career. He doesn't care. He wants to use the badge. He wants to use the uniform to do whatever he wants to do to victimize women. That is the defendant. At 10:30, less than an hour after being in the woods, comes back and calls the Gwinnett County Police Department and sits there, cold and calculated, talking to Officer Merkley. You watch the whole video. Oh, I want to come work for Gwinnett County. Maybe I'll put another thing, and they're just shooting pretty. Like nothing ever happened. Absolutely nothing. It's unimaginable. This is at 10:30 in the morning. We're talking about 9 hours before this, he is in the woods dumping a lifeless, naked 16-year-old girl in the woods. And yet 9 hours later, he is standing there just fine as can be. You know what, I'm going to cover up the gun, step two. And they were absolutely right in his interview. He did it because he knew that if they ever found the gun and he hadn't reported it stolen, he'd be prime suspect number one. But Detective Carter told you, it almost worked, right? Because when they found the gun and they ran it and it had been stolen, they thought, maybe it was the same person who did it, right? Maybe somebody broke into the apartment complex, they ate his car, took the gun, and kidnapped his owner, right? That was his plan, his calculated, manipulative decisions in order to mislead everybody who might look into his case. And 9 hours later, despite having carried her life or drugged her lifeless body through the woods and dropped it there, he's finally talking about coming to working for Gwinnett County. Coming to working for, he's at Doraville. He's at the Doraville Police Department, where the chief got him a job because he knows the chief and played basketball with him. But just as fine as can be. It was last night. I was going around. I was going to the store, and then I don't know what happened to it. I had it last night when I was at the store. No, that's a complete lie. All of this is complete fabrication by the defendant. He didn't lie about his wallet being stolen. For the life of me, the same day he reported it, he used his bank card in McDonald's to buy McDonald's. And again, another red herring. Maybe it could have been Apple Pay. No, it's not Apple Pay. Detective Carter told me she got the same bank account. It doesn't show up this way. He used his bank card. You saw Officer VI in his body camera video in January 2023. He had his wallet. He had his military ID. He had his police ID. He had all of his cards. He had his bank cards. You saw he never went to replace his driver's license. He's a police officer. You're gonna have to have a driver's license. You know the law. You can't be driving around without a driver's license. You have to have it on your person. Never asked for a new driver's license. Ever. Complete lies. About all of it. That night, when Susanna was taken and kidnapped, he was in the exact same area. Same tower, same sector, he's there. Yet, a few hours later, he's in the woods with her body. Her phone's not there. Her phone is back at where it was left, thrown out of the vehicle. You heard this phone call to Esmeralda. He blocked his phone number, his work phone number, his city of Doraville police issued phone number to call one of the main witnesses in the case to Susanna's disappearance, Esmeralda, her best friend. And he blocked, and just so that we can be sure that is working correctly, he calls his own personal phone seconds before to test it out, to make sure that it is working, and Star 67 is blocking his phone number. He doesn't identify himself as a police officer. He doesn't identify himself as a courtesy officer. He doesn't identify who he is or why he's interested. He just calls up Susanna's best friend to pry into what the police know and what's going on with the case. Because this is July 30th. This is 3 days after he murdered her and dumped her body in the woods. That he is calling Esmeralda. As they're posting the flyers, anyone with information, please help. He didn't offer his help. He didn't offer his assistance. He didn't say, let me help look for her. Because he knew where she was. Because he had killed her and brought her out to the woods and left her body there. He called to cover his tracks. He wanted to know what the police already knew, or what the investigation showed, or whether they had found anything. And he's covering his tracks. You saw the download of the cell phones. How long does it take a body to decompose? Those are the searches that he's making in his phone. For 196 days, not offering any help in finding her, not telling anybody where she's at, not doing any of that. He's searching for how long does it take a body to decompose? He's researching over and over and over again. Gwinnett County News and unsolved murders and Gwinnett team found, right? Those are the searches that he's doing, right? They can stand up here and try to convince you of whatever now, but his own words, his own typing and texting into his phone shows what he's doing during this period of time. Not only that, he is spending a lot of time tracking his own girlfriend. GPS trackers, how to plug them into CRV to her car. He's using the flock, which I'll show you here in a minute, to search for Synovia. The overwhelming majority of 845 searches, overwhelming majority. He's sitting in his police car and his truck, and he is tracking Synovia. He is looking for cell tower maps and Verizon towers, wanting to know what towers are going to document locations during this period of time. You saw here, again, searches for Channel 2 Gwinnett. How are you identified by dental records? Days after her body's found. Days after. He's looking up cameras, traffic cameras. Did somebody catch me? Did some camera see me? He made a lot of searches for QT. You saw it in the record. I'm just showing it. This record after record of looking at maps that based on QTs and yet, right after he does that, he comes into court or into the interview and plays dumb about QT. I don't know which one I was at. Maybe it was this one. I don't know. He had researched everything. He already knew that they were coming. At some point, if somebody found the gun, they were going to talk to him. And he had already done all of that looking. What is particularly interesting here is his Google records. July 28th. And that one is a day and a half, 2 days after Susanna's disappearance. Gwinnett County unsolved murders. He's not searching for Gwinnett County unsolved accidental deaths. Gwinnett County overdose deaths, Gwinnett County this or that. He's searching for Gwinnett County unsolved murders. He's also on the same night, hours after he dumped her body there, naked, searching for Flock, going through Flock. And as you saw, those records can put you places. Those license plate readers can put you places. And he starts researching. At that time, that's at 4:48 in the morning on July 27th. That's just a matter of hours after he was in the woods. Right after her body is discovered, he starts trying to look up or look at the P2P data sharing, right as he's searching for all of these other things. This was particularly interesting. A news story unrelated in every way to Susanna's death about a different woman who was found in the woods dead. And Duluth man arrested for a 19-year-old woman found in the woods. And immediately after reading that police story, that news story, he pulls up his city-issued laptop, pulls up Google Maps, and looks right where he dumped her body. And he's researching that whole area, scrolling around. You saw, hundreds and hundreds of map points there as he's researching the entire area where he left her body, minutes after finding this news story. You saw the Flock records. On July 31st, 4 days after he dumped her body in the woods, he's running his own license plate, his own truck license plate. He's using police resources, yet again, in an unauthorized way. He's not allowed to do this, but yet he's searching his own, and then he used that to stalk Synovia. to track her, to know where she's at, to use police resources to track his girlfriend. I want to talk to you just very briefly about his intent and his motives. There is a charge in there, in the charges that you're going to get. It says that the state doesn't have to prove motive. It's not an element of murder. Motive is not an element. Motive is the why. Why do you do it? Why do you kill her? I may have to go my entire life without knowing the answer. And I don't have an answer about exactly what was going through his mind that night. But we got some really good clues as to what it was. The defense wants you to believe that the defendant, some other explanation other than.
Y'all pay attention. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. So now we talked about why we thought he, unalived her or whatever. I talked about how I felt like he snatched her up to R her. And, I think he R'd her. And I think he unalived her to cover that up. I even can say that maybe I think he R'd her and I think he unalived her to cover it up. And that's why she didn't have any clothes on. But right here is where the prosecution is going to tell us why he thinks he unalived her.
Cold-blooded murder, Susanna. Maybe there's something else, despite not being able to point at any evidence of that. They want you to believe that. And we're talking about less than 24 hours after Susanna disappeared. And even less than that, 19 hours after he's in the woods, dumping her body, after he murdered her, he is back on shift as a Doraville police officer. Nobody knows. He's the only one, right? And he's not sitting there contemplating life, and he's not sitting there thinking about, man, I can't believe that just happened. That was crazy, something horrible, terrible. 16-year-old girl is dead, and now she's naked in the woods, and I dumped her body there. No. He walked into QT, and with his badge and his gun and his uniform, goes up to the manager of QT and asks to borrow her phone. But he didn't borrow it to look at his Chase bank account. He started going through her personal, intimate, hidden folders and texting himself videos of her masturbating. Less than 24 hours. The same day. Earlier that same day, he is in the woods with Susanna's naked body. Naked, 16-year-old girl. He doesn't even wait a full day. Not even one full day to go and steal sexual videos of another completely innocent woman. Susanna was murdered, left there, and instead of showing any form of remorse, showing any signs of this being accidental or something else being responsible, he doubles down on his sexual deviancy and goes and steals sexual videos from Yesenia Lanes. And she testified to you, and I felt bad that she had to go on the stand and watch that in front of you. Those are her private, personal videos. And he thought nothing else about going into her phone and violating her privacy. You heard about Alicia Bates. That's a police officer, y'all. Police officer, a National Guard member, wearing his military uniform, saying that, she invited him over. You can see at the end of it, that door handle remains stuck in a down position. He tried to push the door open so hard, and that door handle wouldn't even return to an upright position. He tried to break into Alicia Bates' apartment, December 10th, 2022. This is after Susanna. This is 5 months after he's left her there and her body has been rotting in the woods. He's stalking Alicia Bates. We want you to believe that. Maybe there was some. Where are the text messages? There's them right there. Y'all can look at them. Alicia didn't invite him over. In fact, you got to see a screenshot from October 15th of 2022. It's in there. Go look at it and pull it up. October 15th, 2022. There's some text messages between the two of them, and that's one where he says, "Hey, are you home? Let's link up. Let's hang out. I'll be around that area in a little bit. Right? I'm going to be there in a little bit." He had already been there. There's a screenshot of him there an hour before. He showed up unannounced at her apartment. When she wasn't there, he waited around and texted her an hour later, "Hey, you're going to be around. I'm going to be in that area in a while." No, he was already there. You heard the 911 calls from Alicia, terrified, whispering that she's there with her boyfriend and a gun to defend herself. And why? Because the police never showed up. They never came out there when she called. She told you, they called me, but they didn't even send the car, right? She had already heard the dispatcher on the phone, didn't believe her, right? What? And that's interesting. The dispatcher didn't believe her. This doesn't make any sense. It's something else they're not telling me. Right, it doesn't make any sense. Why a uniformed police officer, a officer with the Doraville Police Department, a SWAT member, a National Guard member would be stalking and harassing this young woman. She didn't invite him over. She didn't lead him on. There are no messages to that. She provided the messages between them. He keeps contacting her and wanting to hang out. And then after all of this is said and done, after he shows up, after the police are called, even the second time now she's called the police, and even after that, what does he do? He uses his police access for GCIC on his laptop to go in and pull relationship basis information. Something that he cannot do. It is a violation of the law to do. He doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care about the law in any way. He said in his interview, I don't like thieves. That's the kind of crime I want to investigate. He is a thief. He steals girls' photographs. He steals their personal identifying information, and he uses his police resources to do it.
See all this evidence against him as far as the other sexual activities, such as sending himself the sexual stuff off the other woman's phone and stuff like that. They're using that to say that possibly, allegedly, the reason why he snatched her was to R her. I believe that. There's no other reason for it. There's no other reason why she ain't had no clothes on. There's no other reason why he told the cellmate they're not gonna find. Cause see, listen, remember y'all, he told the cellmate they're not gonna find no semen. They're not gonna find any DNA. He knew that. He knew that because he removed her clothes.
He made in his interview, I wouldn't do that. I have morals. No, sir, you don't. He doesn't have morals. He's not a moral man. He's not a good man. He's not a good officer. He's not a good National Guard member. He's evil. He's a monster and a predator. And he uses his badge and his uniform to do it. Why is Susanna found naked? There is absolutely no reason on planet Earth that she should be naked. There's no evidence that she knew and or would ever voluntarily spend time with the defendant, talk to the defendant, have sex with the defendant, hook up with him. She is on her road, steps from her house, before she is snatched up off the street and ends up dead, completely naked. Michael Jones told you. He told you when he got his evidence in the case, went through the evidence, you've seen boxes, you saw we had boxes, there's been files, there's stacks of evidence, there's all kinds of things. When he got that and he started looking through it, came out of his cell, Michael Jones, and the only comment he had to say was, they can't connect me to the body because they didn't find my blood or semen on her. I'm sorry, what? You didn't find your blood or semen on her? Who says that? Who says that they didn't find my semen on her if you didn't rape her? If there's no chance of it being on there, why would it be on his mind? It makes absolutely no sense. The reality is, Susanna's a beautiful 16-year-old girl, and the defendant has a problem with preying on women, young women, beautiful women, snatched her off the street and raped her and dumped her body and killed her. And his only comment is that there's no, we can't tie him to the body because there's no blood or semen. Mr. Drake told you that the defendant came, or that Mr. Jones came forward before his sentencing on estate. And she's trying to convince you that maybe he had some kind of ulterior motive. That is a lie. Or maybe just a misstatement or misremembrance. I watched it again last night. Mr. Jones said, precisely, when she asked him, did you contact the DA's office before or after your escape? He said after. That's what he said. He had nothing to gain. He had nothing to... And again, Mr. Drake even asked him, well, are you hoping that something's going to happen? What was his answer? Nobody's going to do anything for me. What did he say about me? Mr. Delphin has never offered me a single thing, offered to help me in any way. Mr. Jones got no involvement in this case. He is absolutely, in every way, unrelated as a non-party. He just so happened to know the defendant in the jail. And the defendant confided in him information that we can't tie him to the body because we don't have his blood or his semen. And then says, when and if I go to prison. When I go to prison. What's it like? They talk about the death penalty. And he says, so far, this is the only one they've got me charged with. The defendant's own statements, his own state of mind in jail is that he's going to get convicted because he did this. His own state of mind is, can I get the death penalty for this? Because I did this, right? And when he sees the evidence, he's excited that we can't find him in the body because he sat there for 196 days not saying anything to anybody, and we couldn't get any DNA or semen. His story, this is what was said in opening. You're going to hear from Miles Bryant. He's going to explain to you exactly what happened. You're going to know the full truth, why Mr. Miles lied to the police and why he reported his gun stolen. That's what was said in the opening. What you heard was, I have morals, I wouldn't do that. What you heard is that the defendant murdered Suzanne. You heard from him in his interview.
Listen, just hear me out, okay? When I tell you I got your back, trust me, okay? You said your holster's in the passenger seat, because we've been playing this forever. We got this information last week, but we haven't come and run up on you, because we're not worried. We don't think, you know what I'm saying? The holster is in your passenger seat floorboard. Did Susanna try to take it?
No, I literally never seen that.
Susanna didn't try to rob him.
This is the moment where you're like, okay, yes, I fucked up. That's not what I'm supposed to do. That's not what was supposed to happen. Her and I were together. I know you're stressed out. I'm not gonna go tell Dorva you were smoking weed. So you went up there with her to smoke weed, and she had bad weed. You know what I'm saying?
No, I never smoked weed. None, that time, nothing.
Okay.
All right, this looks bad. God, this looks bad. Yes, it does. Here.
Were you trying to help her and she was already dead when you found her?
No.
She wasn't already dead when you found her.
You were involved with her? She's 16. I don't give a fuck what y'all had going on. You talked about all these side pieces you had. If you had a side piece with her, cool. Just tell us that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Did your girlfriend kill her? Because no. Could your girlfriend see her and then lose her shit and kill her? And then she go like, oh fuck, my girlfriend just killed her. Let me go dump this body out in the woods. No.
Reality is, the defendant during his interview, you heard him. You heard his statements. His version of events to you, the jury, is that he didn't know her. He had never seen her. She was never in his truck. He didn't dump her in the woods. He didn't drop his gun. He didn't do any of those things. Right? Given every opportunity to explain and give some reasonable explanation, no, she didn't rob me. No, she didn't die of an overdose. No, Zenobia didn't kill her. She wasn't already dead when I found her. He has answered those questions for you. They are not reasonable. He said that she was never in his truck.
I literally was by myself. You talking to my girlfriend. When she came up to the front of my truck, stuff like that, nobody was in my truck.
She wasn't there with you.
Who?
Your girlfriend wasn't there with you out there on 316.
No, but when she came at the apartment complex stuff, nobody was in my truck.
Nobody was in his truck. Well, that's an obvious lie. Mr. Briggs already told you he's guilty of the false report of a crime. What does that mean? It means he lied about his gun being taken out of his truck. Well, what does that mean? That means he dropped it in the woods. It had a light on it, and he dropped it in the woods, using it as a flashlight. And if he's out there in the woods with his gun at Susanna's body, then he left her there. He dumped her naked body there. You can follow the bouncing ball. It's not hard. His says she was never in his truck. That's an obvious lie. He drove his truck out there with her dead body in it and dumped her out in the woods.
I mean, you were in the woods, literally over her dead body. How do you not see that? Your gun was right there, dude. I was out there with her bones and with your gun. Literally, just looking. Wow, look at that.
We consider ourselves good detectives, but a lot of times we don't. A lot of times we don't find the gun.
Yeah, I can't.
But when the gun is sitting right there, it's right there.
You want to see a picture of the gun? I think the picture was sitting in the woods. There it is. Not buried, not thrown, not hidden. Just sitting there with natural pine straw, falling on top, like you mistakenly dropped it.
He told you, I didn't make a false report of a crime.
You know, and even as we looked into my car got broken into, you know, when people go grabbing door handles, because you left your truck unlocked, right?
Yeah.
What do? They grab hundreds of door handles. Guess how many entering autos happened that night?
No.
Just yours. Zero.
So you said yourself earlier, your complex gets hit all the time, multiple people. How is it just convenient for you that your truck is the only one that gets broken into in the back of the complex? We're not stopping at any other building along the way. They're going straight to Miles's truck, and that's it. Because that was a false report of the crime.
It was not.
Because you dropped your gun in the woods.
No, I didn't.
I think you were using your weapon light as a flashlight to figure out where you're going to dump her.
No. I have plenty of flashlights. I don't know. I wouldn't even do that.
Yet, here today, you heard the exact opposite of that. You heard, oh, he did that. He made a false report of crime. He said, no, I didn't. Mr. Drake told me, yes, he did. Yeah, he did. And it's obvious. And this is why he said it. Because to stand up here and say he didn't in the face of the overwhelming, monumental evidence that he did is just absurd. Right? So I get the defense strategy. Right? I've got to stand up here and admit what I have to because it's undeniable, but then try to convince you that everything else is a lie. Right? That everything else in the case is a lie. The one thing that is, the 100%, I'll admit that. But the rest of it, try to mislead you that that's not true. Right? That maybe some mystery thing happened. That there's no evidence for it. The defendant told you.
Well, you have some sort of part in it. There's no other way you can have all this on this incident. There's no other way unless you have a part in it.
I have no part in it.
It's impossible.
That's a bold-faced lie.
He also told you he didn't even know where Susanna lived.
Do you know where, Susanna didn't live in your complex, but do you know kind of where she lived?
From what I've seen, she lived nearby.
Like where?
I have no clue. It said she was walking home, and she said she lived nearby. So I guess it'd be in the area. I don't think she lived in that apartment complex though.
And Ms. Drake brought up the fact in that previous clip, he slips up. He slips up and says, she said that she lived nearby. And his evidence for, they must have had a conversation. And I didn't say that they did. Ms. Drake said, in order to kidnap somebody, you just got to snatch them up off the street. You just got to stop your truck and violently drag them into your vehicle. No, you don't. Did he offer her a ride to her house? I don't know. There's no evidence of that. Did he talk to her? We don't know. There's no evidence of that. Right? What we do know is that once he encountered her, she never saw the light of day again. He snatched her up at some point and drove off with her, threw her phone out of the window, and killed her and dropped her lifeless body in the woods. That's what we know. And that there's no other reasonable explanation for his conduct that night. I created a list of the defendant's lies, and I had to create a list because there were so many. I couldn't count them on my hands. So I wrote them down. I didn't go into the woods. That's lie number one. I didn't stand over her body. That's a lie. I didn't drop my gun. That's a lie. My truck was broken into. That's a lie. My truck was unlocked. That's a lie. My holster was on the floor and wasn't, somebody took the gun out of my holster. That's a lie. My wallet was taken. That's a lie. I never got out of my truck. That's a lie. We showed you the physical activity sensors on his phone. As Susanna is walking home and disappears, he's walking around. He told the police he spent the entire night in the truck. He said he drove around all night. He even said when he was doing reports later at the QT, he was sitting in his vehicle. Never said he got out of his vehicle, not one time. On the side of Highway 316, sitting in his vehicle. Yet hour after hour after hour, it shows him walking. And it shows him traveling hundreds of meters, consistent with him dragging a body through the woods in the middle of Tequila from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. on the 27th, from midnight to 1 a.m. on the 27th. He is moving. He is not sitting in his vehicle. As Susanna is walking home at 10 p.m., he's not. He gets out of his vehicle and he is walking around. He is a liar. He did not stay in his vehicle. No one was in my truck. That's a lie. My license was stolen. That's a lie. I called police on a single call to the police department, documenting that he ever reported he found his wallet. Moreover, he said in the interview, well, I lost Officer Merkley's card. I don't know what happened to it. They found it in his truck. When they searched it, right there, Officer Merkley's business card with the case number for the stolen report. He didn't lose it. He didn't want to call. He didn't call. That's a lie. I didn't dump her body. That's a lie. I wouldn't jeopardize my career. Obviously a lie. I didn't throw her phone out of the window. That's a lie. I didn't make a false report. That's a lie. I didn't know that girl. He obviously is lying. He picked her up that night and killed her. I've never seen her. I had nothing to do with this. Nothing happened between us. I don't know where she lived. I wasn't in front of her house. Yes, he was. His vigilant records show him parked right next door of her house. Stopped, stationary, parked a month after her disappearance in front of her mother's house. As mother still didn't know where she was, he is out there, stopped in front of their house. And they told you when they testified, we saw a black truck, it would come back and around, and he's parked there. My personal phone was dead. Why'd you use your work phone? Well, my personal phone was dead. Garbage. It's a lie. It wasn't dead. He used it all night long. It maps him everywhere. He's calling people on it. That's a lie. I didn't take her clothes. Where are they? They're not with her. He disposed of her clothes. He threw them away. Did something with them to obscure the crime, not be found. I didn't hide my face. We just watched the video. Police officer, military man, walking past her apartment with his hand like this over his face, trying to open her door. It's lie after lie after lie, but yet he sits there and they are asking you to believe them now. Sergeant Poppy said it best. If you can't tell us now what happened, how is any jury going to believe you? You can't get up here at trial. You can't argue stuff now when justice is about to be served upon you that none of this happened and that there's other possibilities. He was given every opportunity. He was given every measure to explain if anything else happened. He did not. He sat and lied after lie after lie after lie. He has never told the truth, and he's not telling the truth now. They are not being truthful to you. Susana Morales was murdered. There's no other explanation. Nothing else makes sense. She didn't know him. She wouldn't get into the car with him. She wouldn't have sex with him. How did she end up naked in the woods? There is a principle that I talked about, Occam's razor. It means the simplest answer is usually the right one. In this case, there is a simple answer. There is a simple answer as to what happened. And I'll tell you, the defendant had already thought about doing this. You saw these videos.
Something was happening to you. We're doing a rape or a missing person, then we find your body out there in the woods. Then what? Because you're probably strong and you're smart and say no to strangers and stuff like that. But nowadays people don't care. People are my size big and just come snatch you up. You can scream, you can shout all you want. They will throw you in the back of the van and go take you and your parents never see you again. And there's nothing you can do. You can't fight it. I mean, you're strong. I promise you. I bet you're strong, but you're not that strong.
Yeah, I know.
It's people that's bigger than me out there. See how bad this can go? Say you go with your friends. Your friend mom knew because she said her kid can go. You get ready to kill, stuff like that. Well, she was the last person to know. So now we're all in her talking to her like, especially being 13 under the age of 16, you're not old enough to consent. See what I'm saying? I know I'm getting kind of, out of the violence, stuff like that, but you're not even old enough to consent for sex yet. You're under 16. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying though,
Yeah.
I'm being real with you because I don't want you to go ahead and get hurt.
Yeah.
Don't get you on the phone. What if you was out there something to happen? You need to call. You can't. You just scream and then they cover your mouth up.
2 months before the defendant kidnapped and murdered Susana Morales, he had this conversation with a missing 13-year-old girl in Doraville. And the obvious fixation that he has with kidnapping, and it's not just, somebody might hurt you, somebody might harm you. It is somebody might snatch you up, put you into a van, kidnap you, drive you into the woods, rape you, and murder you. That's what he said 2 months before. He did exactly that. He picked up Susana Morales. He kidnapped her. He took her against her will. To make sure nobody could find her, he threw her phone out of the window. He then threw her in the back of the truck, drove out to Decula, where he raped and murdered her and left her in the woods. You can hear it from his own mouth. This was not something he hadn't thought about, something that hadn't occurred to him. reality is that the defense told you that you're going to think he is the most callous, uncaring coward that you've ever seen. And I suspect that's true. And asked you to hold him guilty and responsible for the death of Suzanne Morales. That's what the defense asked you to do. I'm also asking you to do that. There is no reasonable explanation. There isn't one that makes sense based on your common sense. When you look at this evidence, when you consider what happened the night of July 26th of 2022, the simple answer is the right answer. And you know, and you can see the behavior of the defendant. We don't have to wonder. We've got to see in the trial. Obsessed with stealing videos from this girl's phone, obsessed with stalking his own girlfriend, monitoring her, watching her with hidden cameras, obsessed with showing up at another girl's home who he's not dating, trying to break into her apartment, coming back multiple times, over and over again, using his police resources to stalk women, using his police resources to stalk Elisha, his own girlfriend. They told you. Zenobia and Adrian told you. He's a master manipulator. He comes up with excuses for everything. Right? Time after time, we confront him. Well, what about this? What about that? And it was always some excuse. There was always some little thing that he would give them to make them think that, oh, you know, maybe he's telling the truth. But time after time after time, every time he was lying, living double lives. He is a master manipulator. He is a liar. But don't let him manipulate you. There is no evidence that anything other than he murdered Suzanne Morales that night. That he kidnapped her, that he threw her phone out of the car, raped and murdered her, and left her in the woods. I'm asking you to do your job. Asking you to look at the evidence, to use your common sense, and to see through the manipulations and the lies and the red herrings and all of the other distractions that they're trying to throw at you, and look at the case and hold him guilty for the death of Suzanne Morales, which is mass murder. He intended to kill her. He took her, he snatched her up, and almost immediately threw her phone out the window. That makes no sense. No version that they've attempted to present to you, no other alternative explains that. It can't explain that, which is why they didn't mention it, because it cannot be explained. Why is her phone thrown out the window? That makes no sense. How does she end up naked if this isn't murder? You've heard from all of her friends and who she was. She's not getting into his truck. She's not having sex with him that night. That didn't happen. She didn't want to do that. That's not her character. She was walking home, steps away from her house, and her life was altered like that because the defendant is a monster. He's a predatory monster with a badge. I'm asking you to hold him accountable. I'm asking you to find him guilty. Find him guilty on malice murder. Find him guilty on felony murder. He kidnapped her, and she ended up dead. We know that. That's indisputable. She is dead in the woods because of this defendant and his felonious actions. Count 3, kidnapping, he did take her. It was against her will. He didn't use lawful authority. And during that, she got injured. She got killed. Criminal attempt to commit rape, because there is no semen left at the scene. We had to charge criminal attempt. I would have loved to have been able to charge her for this rape. But I'm stuck with the fact that he let her stay out there for 196 days and for her flesh to rot off her bones so that nothing could be done. And no traces of the forensic evidence could be done. Count 5, false report of crime. Already admitted that one. But even despite that, it's overwhelmingly obvious that he lied about that and that he is the one responsible. There is no one else. There's nobody else to hold accountable. There's nobody else involved. There's no evidence of anyone else involved. There's nothing. It's solely the defendant. And this. And I ask you to hold him accountable for what he did, which is kidnapping, murdering Suzanne Morales.
All right, y'all. That was the prosecution's closing argument. We pretty much ran the case down. I mean, honestly, like I told y'all, I wasn't surprised that he was found guilty. But we just right now, for those that's interested, thank y'all so much for being here. We're just listening to, you know, what happened, you know, before he was found guilty. That was the prosecution. The full prosecution. I'm looking for the the defense closing argument. She was only up there 20 minutes, huh? So this is the lawyer for the defense, and these are her closing arguments, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here.
And we don't know that. Of course, following the case to see what's up, see what's going on with this case. And his gun was missing. We heard a lot about walking times during different time periods. Some of those were when he was back at his apartment, not on 316. So my statement. Now we do know that he lied in his statement. He said he wasn't in the woods. He never got out of his car. Well, we know that that's the lie. But there are some truths that the other evidence, other testimony that you heard supports. He told you about his career path. ROTC, he was in the military cop. He had worked at Forsyth, and then he went to Dunwoody. He wanted to be on SWAT. So you heard all that. He told you about watching Zenobia because she had cheated on him. And Zenobia did chase him. She said that on the stand. She said, yeah, I saw him, I followed him, I blocked him in. And he said, I did not kill him. I'm glad they actually pointed this out to you. They said versus she said. Obviously, he talked with her. He did say she, they, and changed it. But that just proves that he had a conversation with her. If you're going to kidnap somebody, you're not going to have a conversation with them. You're going to grab them and throw them in the trunk or the car. He had a conversation.
Wait a minute. So she is saying, now this guy said he never even talked to Susanna. Now the defense attorney gets up here and say, oh, amazing girl, you better say it again. So he has stated over and over again that he did not know her, never had a conversation with her. But this lawyer gets up here and say, just because he said she said don't mean he killed it, just means he had a conversation. Well, ma'am, y'all been arguing that he never had a conversation. No, he fucked up unconsciously and said, she said, because what he did was he stopped and he saw that young woman, he stopped, he asked her that she need a ride or whatever. I'm telling you what I see. This is what I think. He saw her walking, knew she was walking because he had been watching, stopped, asked her that she want a ride like he did other times with the other teenagers. Remember, the young woman testified that he had stopped them before and asked them did they need a ride, right? He saw that young woman walking by herself. He stopped, he asked her did she need a ride, and she probably said, no, I stay right here. I stay right up the street. I stay right here. And he fucked up. And that's why he said, she said, she, he said, she said, because he had a conversation with her. All right. Now he's been saying he never even met her. Never have a conversation. This woman gets up here and say, okay, well, maybe he did have a conversation with her, but that don't mean he killed her. Okay, well, if he had a conversation with her, that means he was the last somebody to see her alive. I'm gonna need you to stop, lady. I'm gonna need you to stop. Let's listen, y'all. This is crazy.
And of course, they knew each other. On at least 2 prior occasions that witnesses told you about today or over the last 2 weeks in court. And he was very nervous. Of course he was nervous. Everything was coming down at that time. He was very nervous. They were right up on him with his back against the wall. The only things we know for certain, she was in the truck. I don't know why we always default to car, with Miles. We do know that Miles left her in the woods. We don't know if she was unconscious at that time or if she was.
Oh, wow. Dead. All right. See, this is why I was going to skip all this, y'all. I was just going to be done with it. But some kept telling me, listen to it with y'all. So she's arguing, y'all. Listen, it done switched up. She's arguing that, yeah, she was in the truck. Yeah, they got together. Yeah, they did this and then the third. Yeah. But what she's doing is saying, but we don't know how she died. She could have died. That's why that prosecutor said what he said about the drugs. We don't know if she died of an overdose. We don't know if she died from this. We don't know if she died from that. But they can't prove that he unalived her. See, ooh, baby.
We don't know that he did anything to her to cause that. We do know that Miles went back to search for his gun. Looking at that metal store place, maybe trying to get a metal detector. That was one of his searches, to go back and try to find the gun. Yes, he was trying to keep up with the case. He had concealed the death of a person. He had left that person in the woods. Of course he was going to keep up with it. And we definitely know that Miles is a cheater and was tracking Zenobia. And we do know that Zenobia was jealous. And we know that Suzanne was at least at a minimum experimenting with drugs outside of pot. I think it was established that pot was probably something that they usually did. And again, typical teenager. What we don't have is the diary. That might have provided a lot of enlightenment about what was going on during that period of time in her life. We know it was asked for, but it was not turned over for whatever reason. Most telling is, why did we not actually see the video from that night? The girls were making a TikTok or something. We saw a screenshot. Would it be that they were doing something else other than pot in the video?
Objective facts and evidence.
Your Honor, I think I can argue why they would not present a video.
Your Honor, all the witnesses are on the stand. Ms. Strickland wants to ask those questions of the witnesses. She could have done that. She is now arguing things that they failed to ask on the stand. And it's
I agree with you.
So why don't we have that video? What would that video have shown about their condition and what they were doing? Why don't we have that video? So because the state has zero evidence of malice murder or kidnapping, they have what's called 404 evidence. He is not on trial for the 404 evidence. So we have the video that Miles stole. Disgusting. You can hate him just for that. But that doesn't mean rape. The narrative on the nails about him being black. Men don't notice nails. Women notice nails. It's very important to us. If we break a nail, if they're chipped, we notice that. Men don't notice that. Miss Bates. Why would stand, according to the 911 call, oh, he had a gun. He was kicking in the door. When asked, at a minute and 30 seconds in, does he have a weapon? No. That's what she told the 911 operator. Did you see a gun in the video? You saw him knock. Did you see a gun? No. Did you see him kicking the door? Trying to bust down the door? There would have been evidence left on that door. A dent, something? No. There was a brief talk about, and I don't know the exact date, so I'm not even going to say that prior, someone had busted in. But there's no phone records. We have all of these phone records about where Miles Bryant was. Even if they didn't have enough for a search warrant then, surely on this case they could have gotten a search warrant. No phone records to show that he was tied to that at all. She had him labeled as a stalker in her phone. That could have been changed anytime. We all know you can change your profile picture day to day to day. Why not show us the text messages? We saw what, 3 pages? Where he's like, you want to hook up or whatever. Why is it whenever he talks about, I think it was moonshine or some sort of alcoholic beverage, LMAO? Is that what you respond to a person that's stalking you? That doesn't make any sense. We don't have the text messages. Never told him to stop and never blocked him. In fact, she wanted to lure him over to her apartment to get evidence. If you're afraid of somebody and somebody's stalking you, you block that person. You block their number, you change your number, you go take out a protective order. Never told him to stop and never blocked him. In fact, still had him on social media, because I believe that's where she said she posted a little video about him leaving. That makes no sense. And we know that this was investigated by the Dunwoody police. Again, volumes and volumes of paperwork. We didn't hear from the Dunwoody police. And we know he was still working there. Talking to the 13-year-old. I expect the state is going to come and run this into one statement. But if you listen to that, there were different components to this. First, someone can pick you up and rape you. Conversation. Find you in the woods somewhere. Conversation. Throw you in a van and we will never find you again. Further down in the conversation. And think about that. As an adult, when you're fussing at a child for running away, that would be exactly what you would say. Somebody could pick you up and rape you and dump you somewhere and we'd never find you again. What does that show? What do any of these show? So this is what the court instructed you on before that evidence came in. You can't infer from this evidence that he is of a character that would commit such crimes. They're just being offered to show lack of mistake, intent, motive. But what does that show? Does it show kidnapping? Does it show murder? Does it show intent to rape? No. It just makes Miles look bad, which is all that they can depend upon since they have no evidence of malice murder and no evidence of kidnapping. Reasonable theories, which were actually brought up during his interview. Did she overdose? We possibly could have had evidence from that. And I'm going to go into that in just a little bit, but we don't. Took off the puke-drenched clothes before putting her in the car. Zenobia confronted him, thought he was with a girl. Jealous, busted out his mirror. His other girlfriend corroborated that statement that he said during the interview, that he did have a busted mirror about that same time. What happened between 10:07 and 10:21? What happened between 10:21 and 10:29? We don't know. When you're back in the jury room, I'm sure you can come up with a reasonable theory. Basically, the state has come up with a reasonable theory. The bottom line, the state's case is a theory of what could have happened. And all their evidence is tailored to that. Like when Biggers was testifying, oh, you could see directly into her house. How long had they lived there? How long had Miles lived there? Would there have been a time where he would have had that same view? Back when this happened, we know that all the trees had their leaves on it. Could you have seen during that time? We don't know. They themselves gave reasonable theories during that interview, based upon the evidence that they have. Him being in the woods and his gun being found there. Did she overdose? Did Zenobia catch y'all and something happened? Were you having a relationship with her and Zenobia came up? Whatever. But if there's another theory, it doesn't have to be more probable than something else, but any reasonable theory means you must find him not guilty. We don't know if she overdosed, and we could have. It was never treated as a possible overdose because of the body being in the woods and not having clothes. However, we could have known what she was on that night. No bone marrow testing.
No, I'm going to object at this point. Dr. Terry will stand. Mr. Gray could have asked all these questions, but she lacks not an evidence to straighten those.
And I'm gonna strike that.
Your Honor, they did recover hair.
I understand, and Dr. Terry was here and her assistant was here, and you could have asked about those tests. So I'm not
We
gonna allow
don't
you.
have any results from any testing.
Ms. Strait, you could have asked if tests were done. And you didn't. So I don't want to stop you in your closing again, but you have to rely on the evidence in this case.
They had hair. No cause of death. And it is completely speculation at this point. Unfortunately, we don't know how this young lady died. To authorize a conviction on circumstantial evidence, the proved facts must not only be consistent with the theory of guilt, but also exclude every other reasonable theory. Are there other reasonable theories? Absolutely. After giving consideration to all of the facts and circumstances, the Life 360 compared to the walking video, the breaks in time, if your minds are wavering, unsettled, or unsatisfied, then that is a doubt of the law. This is what this case is. Grave suspicion. And the court is going to instruct you that facts and circumstances that merely place on the defendant a grave suspicion of the crime, or that raises a speculation or conjecture of the defendant's guilt, are not sufficient to authorize a conviction. This case was very, very emotional for everyone involved. But the judge is going to instruct you that you cannot consider sympathy. My heart broke when Jasmine and the mother were on the stand. I have daughters. Some of you may have daughters. That is the worst nightmare. The fact that he left her out there is one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard in my life, no matter what happened to her. That they went through 7 months of searching for her. That Detective Carter, I mean, she was on the stand for a long time. She worked hard on this case. Bidders worked hard on this case. All the police man hours. But all we have is grave suspicion. It's okay not to like Miles. Think he's disgusting. Think he's a terrible police officer, whatever. It's okay. And it's okay to feel sick when you realize that there are other reasonable theories and that you have to return a verdict of not guilty. Now, during jury selection, we always ask questions about leader versus follower, analytical, work in HR, supervise people. And oftentimes jurors, I've always asked afterwards, I was wondering why y'all ask those types of questions. It's because, especially in a case like this, where the emotions are so high, we need people who can make tough decisions. Decisions that you may hate to make. The truth of this case is we just don't know. We just don't know. Now, the state, sometimes, it's been a long time since I've had a case with these prosecutors, oftentimes they'll get up and say, it's not your job to seek doubt. I disagree. How do you know if there is doubt if you don't go through it all and seek doubt? Maybe, could haves, grave suspicion is not beyond a reasonable doubt. I urge you to listen to the law as the court gives you. Go back in the jury room and think about this case. It is very important, not only to the state, not only to Susanna's family, and regardless of what you think of him, it's very important to that young man right there. Is there another reasonable theory other than what the state has presented? Is there any evidence of malice in murder, an intent to kill? Is there any evidence of intent to kidnap or kidnapping or of rape? There is not. And based upon the law and the facts of this case, the law compels you and orders you, pursuant to your oath, to enter a verdict of not guilty, except for count 5. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do expect
Now, I'm gonna say
state's closing to go.
I'm gonna just say this. I keep telling y'all this lady remind me of a defense attorney that I know that she used to. I mean, they might be the same lady. I need to check it out. But anywho, listen. So the prosecutor was up there for what, almost 2 hours? Yeah, almost 2 hours. She was up there for 20 minutes. She know this case is lost pretty much. I can tell when lawyers can tell a case is lost. Now we're gonna listen to the verdict. I think we're gonna listen to the verdict and the sentencing, and then we're gonna stop because I don't want this too much over 3 hours. And then tomorrow morning we'll get into the press conferences, the motion for a new trial, and I probably will give y'all a rundown on the next case we're gonna cover. Okay, so let me find I might also do the judge reading the charges to the jury. I may also do that one tomorrow too. But for now, we're gonna do the verdict and the sentencing.
As a jury,
I think this is the verdict right here. Mhm. Mhm. It says jury trial. Yeah, this is the verdict. Okay.
okay, if you'll hand it to my bailiff.
And y'all listen carefully because it's gonna state the charges. It's gonna state what he's guilty of.
All right. State of Georgia versus Miles Bryant. Indictment number 24B-00156-4. Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 2, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 3, kidnapping. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 4, criminal attempt to commit rape. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. Count 5, false report of a crime. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Signed June 12th, 2024 by the foreperson.
Okay, so he was found guilty of felony murder, malice murder, the kidnapping, and the false statement. Now he was not found guilty of the intent to rape. They really didn't prove that, other than the fact that she wasn't wearing any clothes or anything at the time her remains were found. So I'm not really surprised that they found him not guilty on that, but he was found guilty on all other charges: the malice murder, felony murder, kidnapping, and the filing of false police report. So yeah.
Anything from the state or the defense?
Got nothing on behalf of the state.
We would ask that the jury be polled, please, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go, we're not lined up. Okay. Juror number 16. Okay. Was this your verdict in the jury room? Okay. Was it freely and voluntarily made by you? Is it still your verdict? Juror number 17, originally. Was this your verdict in the jury room? Was it freely and voluntarily made by you? Is it still your verdict? Juror number 22. Was this your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 25. Was this your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 32. Was this your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 33. Was this your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 34. Was this your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 38. Was this your verdict in the jury room? Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 40. Was this your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it still your verdict? Juror number 42, was this your verdict in the jury room? Was it freely and voluntarily made by you? Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 45.
You turned against me. She said my show is stupid and she don't want to talk on my show no more. She only want to talk on Truth Show. Thanks a lot, Truth.
Yes, but Truth the best, not you, everyone.
Thank you, Truth.
Thank you, baby Patty. Thank you, Grayson. Thank you. You're welcome, Troy.
Yes.
No, you're not. You're a baby princess.
I'm the queen, you the
No.
ugly king.
She the queen. She is the queen.
I'm ugly and I'm a nerd and I don't have a crown. You look like me.
You eat boogers.
You eat boogers.
See, we're not gonna do the booger thing. Like, we really not gonna do the booger thing. I still got PTSD from that.
That'll be all right.
I'm gonna need you to leave her alone. I'm gonna need you to stop, Trey.
My daddy always only eat boogers. He eat boogers in the refrigerator.
I believe it.
Refrigerator? That don't even make sense.
You do.
She really thinks she a comedian.
And daddy, you don't give me any marshmallows.
Thank you, no marshmallow. You've been asking for marshmallow for a couple of days. Troy, you white?
Oh God, not white.
Who just sits and eats bags of marshmallows?
Kids, children.
She had to say that one time. She wanted to let you know that you're the best and I suck and she ain't talking on my show no more, just yours.
That's right, and I love her for it. Don't be mad, don't be jealous. You'll be all right. All right, y'all.
5. Was this your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 59, was this your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict? Okay. Anything else from the state or the defense this time?
Nothing on behalf of the state.
Okay. Mr. Bryant, you now have been convicted of 3 felonies. I want to inform you, you have a right to seek post-judgment relief from your felony convictions by either filing a direct appeal to a higher appellate court or to file a motion for a new trial. You have 30 days from the date I sign and file your sentence with the clerk of court to file a motion for a new trial to any and all of the felony charges. Ms. Drake, are you going to file a motion for a new trial?
Yes, ma'am. I have to discuss that with my client about that process.
Okay. You also have 4 years from the date of your sentence, from the date your sentence is final, to file a habeas corpus petition on the felonies. I'm going to appoint you an appellate lawyer to handle your case. Your trial lawyer is going to file a motion for a new trial within the 30 days to preserve your rights. And then your appellate attorney will explain these processes, but I want you to know the legal time frame that are required. You've also been convicted of a misdemeanor, and you have 1 year to file a habeas corpus on the misdemeanor of false report of a crime. I'm going to ask the jury to go back to the deliberation room and come back and talk to you, and then I'll be back out for sentencing.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh well. All right. Let's go find the one for sentencing. Come on now, don't act stupid. We almost at the end. Don't do it. There we go. All right, let's see. Damn it. Okay, here it is. Ex-officer learned sentence. All right, y'all. Let's see.
Doraville police officer Miles Bryant will spend the rest of Susanna Morales. 11 Alive, Bobeth Yates, joining us from the Gwinnett County Jail this morning, Bobeth. So a judge sentenced Bryant to life without parole, saying he hopes this finally gives Susanna's family some kind of peace.
That's exactly right, Aisha. The former Dorville police officer now sits in a cell behind me, knowing that he won't be out of jail ever again. And at this time, the family is hoping that that brings them the closure they need.
I just hope that after today, you and your family can find some peace.
Those were the words from Gwinnett County Superior Judge Tamila Atkins, shortly after a jury found former Dorville police officer Miles Bryant guilty on multiple charges connected with the death of 16-year-old Susana Morales.
Malice murder, we the jury found the defendant guilty. Count 2, felony murder, we the jury find the defendant guilty. Count 3, kidnapping, we the jury found the defendant guilty.
It took a little over 5 hours to find the 23-year-old guilty, and shortly after, he was sentenced to life without parole. And prior to sentencing, the family pleaded with the judge to help them find closure.
And I just want him to receive every day that he can because she was a good girl.
The 16-year-old Gwinnett teen vanished while walking home back in 2022. Her body was found dumped in a wooded area about 20 miles from her house. And during trial, witnesses testified that Bryant abused his power as an officer and stalked and eventually killed Morales.
I still hope that I'll see her again. There's not a night that I don't go to bed thinking about her because I miss her so much.
Now, Bryant also briefly addressed the family, apologizing for his role in Morales' death, but he also maintains his innocence, and his attorney says they will be appealing this decision. Live in Gwinnett, Bobette Yates, 11 Alive News.
Bobette, thank you. And we were inside.
All right, y'all, that's gonna be it for today. I can't believe how long it's taking me. I can't believe how long it's taking me to wrap this up. That's why I had initially said I wasn't gonna cover trials, but I don't know. I'm still debating on whether we're gonna cover another trial. But either way, we're gonna come back tomorrow, y'all, and I want to show y'all the press conferences. I want to show y'all what I said. The press conferences. Oh, and the video about him filing for a new trial. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But for those that are interested, I'll see y'all tomorrow here on this channel, no later than. I'll be setting it for 10, but it's whenever Silas, because I know the Silas, she goes on around that time, so it's whenever her live ends. So for anybody that's interested, I set it at 10, but it's whenever Silas ends her live, and that's when we'll go live over here. If I decide not to, I'm probably gonna show y'all the press conferences, but we also gonna start. I'm gonna give y'all a little synopsis of what we're gonna start after that. But anywho, I did change my live on my T channel to 3 instead of 2. It is now 1:47, and I need to handle something before I go live over there. So instead of 2, I'll be live over there at 3. All right. With that being said, we're gonna get out of here. I so appreciate y'all supporting this live stream. I do. Shout out to my moderators. Shout out to my monetary contributors. Thank you, B Sugar. Shout out to my to the True Sippers in the State Gang that's here to support. Listen, if y'all see anything such as a trial or a story, it doesn't have to be a trial. It could be a story that y'all want me to cover. Just email me. And of course, my email is showing across the screen. Email me. I'll look into it, and we'll try to cover it. Okay, because I want to cover whatever y'all want me to cover. If not, I just pick stories at random that touch me at the time. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all for supporting this actual content that matters. It means a lot to me, y'all. So that being said, y'all take a break. Okay, great. I'll see you at 4 my time. Okay, Natasha. Thank you. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Miss Margie. Thank you, B Sugar. I'll see y'all in about an hour or so, okay? With that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And until next time, I'll see y'all later, okay? Y'all be good. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Grayson. Trey, don't be mad. It's okay. You'll be all right. It is what it is. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later.